Hey, you guys, this is The Mask, and you guys are listening to the GeekCast Radio Network. And you know what? You are
It's time.
smoking.
The countdown begins.
Steve Megatron, rolling now with the Transformers power. TFG on my channeling the vibe, the nostalgia tower. OptimusSolo, steady voice, counting down the list we know. Top 100 rated series. Legends rise up, fans unite from the classics to the brand new dreams. We're counting down the best tonight. This,
The GeekCast Radio Network.
Top 100 rated series countdown.
Hello and welcome to GeekCast Radio Network's Top 100 Animated Series 15th Anniversary 2026 edition. I am TFG and Mike. Joining me in this animated adventure as we continue our deep dive into the Top 100 is that beast bot himself. It's none other than Steve Megatron.
Well, yes.
And then we have the dweller in the depths of Cybertron. It's none other than OptimusSolo.
I think my only goal for our next top 100 is to make it a longer title for you to say at the beginning.
I know, it's such a mouthful.
You guys came up with all of that. I had nothing to do with the title of the. Didn't have
The title of the thing that's
Look,
the title.
Look,
the 15th
exactly.
anniversary 2026, formerly known as 20. No, just kidding.
Formerly known as Animated Series Podcast.
Yeah, formerly known as the 2011 edition. Exactly. Oh boy. Speaking of a mouthful, because the three of us are here with we are all here to finally welcome back after 15 years. He thought we would never have him back after the last time, but he's back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Dirt, who is mostly the retired former co-host of That New Toy Smell, which at this point is That Old Toy Smell, from the Pop Culture Network. He is now living as a hermit in a hidden shack deep within a community of grumpy little old men. Dink, dink. Some might call him Yogurt.
Wow, what an introduction. I have never felt so loved in my whole life.
There you go.
And I'll be back in another 15 years.
No, we have plans for you.
Oh, jeez.
That sounds
Like, we're going to
ominous.
scare away all of our guests by saying
We're going to put you to work.
Yeah, Mike going, yeah, we have plans for you.
Yeah, we're going to put you to work. You found your audio equipment. You're going to be put to work.
Dang it. I mean, it's not.
That's good call, Dirt.
Yeah, exactly. With the second episode down and the ultimate slobber knocker that we had in the reveals of 75 to 51, you'll just have to go back and listen to find out what in the hell happened there and hear DJ Valentine's reactions as well. However, we are inching even closer to the top half, but we have to get through 50 to 26. So with all that out of the way, take it away, our masters.
You can be a master of the universe. It's okay.
Too many masters of the universe around here. Master of ceremonies, OptimusSolo, as you are the only one who knows what in the hell these reveals actually are.
I do like that 50 through 26 is no longer considered part of the top half, but we will get there either way. So,
well, it's whatever. Look, that was a lot of words. Damn it! I wrote that out.
Mike's already maxed out. So
yeah, he's used up his words for this episode.
I've used my brain power up for this episode.
All right, so how we're gonna do this? We're gonna do a quick recap of what we've seen so far in the bottom 50 that have been revealed, and then we will get Dirt's reaction to that, and then we'll preview what's coming up here with this next set of 25. So for those keeping track at home, or for those that are jotting down notes as I talk, let's first look at the time periods and how that has played out so far. So in the first episode, it was dominated mostly by the 80s. We had 8 cartoons from the 1980s that were in that 100 through 76 time period. Everything else was 3, 4, or 5. We saw then a complete flip-flop as in the next episode, which revealed 51 through 75. We only had one show from the 1980s. 90s came in hot with 9 shows during that record, and then we had 6 from the pre-1980s. So if you do all the math together, so far with the 50 that have been revealed, it's actually pretty even. Right now we have 12 shows that have appeared from the 1990s, 11 from the pre-1980s, and then a 3-way tie with 9 shows apiece for the 80s, the 2000s, and the last 15 years. So, Steve, any thoughts on how we stand so far? 90s just one ahead of the pre-1980s, and then 3 other time periods with 9 apiece?
I'm hopeful that a lot of the other 90s shows show up somewhere in the top 25 because some of them were very iconic. And if the previous top 100 is any indicator, then they absolutely should.
Do you have any inclination as far as like right now it's 9, 9, 9, 11, 12. Do you have any time period that you think is going to have the least amount of entrance into our top 50?
I don't know. I mean, like some of them, I was quite surprised the eras that they came from. So I'm going to guess the 2010s and up.
Okay. Mike, agree or disagree? Will the 2010s, the last 15 years, be the least represented in our top 50?
I don't know, but knowing us, I'd probably say yes. I think the 80s and the 90s are going to increase. I think the pre-80s might... I'm surprised it has 11 already. I mean,
we did widen our demographic as far as our voters.
Yeah, we have a lot more anime already in the bottom half of the countdown so far. But it's one of those things where you just never know what's going to happen. And yeah, I think the 90s is going to... I'm surprised, and I think because we have versus last time versus this time, we have 20 or 21 lists last time. We had 20 lists last time. We had 44 lists this time, so we just over doubled our lists. So
yeah, and like we said in the introduction, we also increased our age range. So we have a lot of folks, and we had 5 or 6 folks
old
in the
people
in
like
their
me.
We had 5 or 6 folks in their 70s that contributed lists.
Okay, well, I'm not that old then.
And some cartoon historians amongst them. I know we've name dropped them quite a bit, but Jerry Beck is amongst them. Greg Airbar, Keith Scott, Tom Ruger, Flint Dilley. I always forget one when I do that, so I'll have to. Buzz Dixon, that was the other one that submitted a list. So we had a much wider age range. Any surprise that we have a fairly close gap here? The lowest time period represented being 9 series and the highest being 12.
I mean, I guess I don't know who all voted, right? So I don't know what demographic this is all coming from. I know I struggled personally putting through my list because I would look at the list and think, there are certain shows pre-80s that are iconic, they're foundational, they're like the structures of animation, but I don't know how many people who were watching in the early 2000s and the 2010s would have watched cartoons from the 50s and 60s, so it really depends on the demographics that are showing up to vote and how I guess like how attached they are to some of those old shows, because for me, I'm thinking a lot of those 50s, 60s, even early 70s shows are the shows that you kind of have to have towards the top of the list because everything else kind of owes their existence to them. But then at the same time, as time passes and they get further in the past, do less people pay attention to them. Everything sort of, The Simpsons have gotten to the point where they reference themselves instead of other TV shows. So
that's true.
It's hard to really think about it ahead of time. But as I looked through the list, well, I mean, as I astutely listened to every moment of the past 2 episodes, I was really
anyway, but yeah,
but because I never know who's listening to this, but
yes.
I was kind of surprised that some of these shows that were more that the 90s, but like Recess, I think is that as a show that was more of a little kids 90s show and not necessarily a wide demographic. But then if there's a lot of kids, a lot of people voting who were kids in the 90s watching it, it's going to be foundational to them. So it's interesting to see how some of that shakes out. And I guess it makes sense if you're spreading across a wide age demographic that they're going to be represented, but maybe, some of these Huckleberry Hound, Pink Panther, they kind of fall further on the list because maybe some of the people they know about them, they've heard about them, but they've never really watched them. Maybe they just saw a couple on Sunday morning reruns when they were a kid on the USA Cartoon Network, but they never really, sat down and watched them. Whereas I came from the era where you would buy the VHS tape for $3.99 and it had an hour of Huckleberry Hound, and like you watched it over and over and over and over and over again until it basically wore itself out. So it's interesting. It really is interesting to see how all of this plays out. And I like hearing people's justifications for how they voted for things and where they put them on.
And another thing we kind of brought up in the last episode was that some of that main argument as far as historical contribution, impact, foundational stuff that you were just talking about, and how much people weigh that compared to how much they judge it based on current ability to, watch overall quality of animation and storytelling and things of that nature, because cartoons are obviously much different these days. So it's really what you value in that. And we that's why the wider net we can cast, hopefully the more that spreads out all of that. And so we don't have specific things that are rating super high. Like me as a historian and someone that went to school for that, like I have a lot of my own personal list that is comprised of a lot of those early shows, right? Like if it had impact on the genre or the medium or, all the stuff that came after it, like I give that more points, I guess, and some people don't think that way. So it's interesting to kind of go through that and see what, like you said, everybody's different as far as explanations or reasoning for how they rank. And it's not that there's a right or a wrong. It's just that everybody comes from a different standpoint when it comes to that.
Well, really quickly, I just want to jump in here really quick and say that the funny thing about like this generation versus our generation, I'm going to compare this to something that's live action to animation, is that usually on YouTube, if you watch one video, you then get served like a million other of the same video. I've gotten, because I love this comedy sketch a lot, but I clicked on Gen Zer reacts to Who's On First for the first time ever. So it's somebody from Generation Z that's watching the classic Abbott and Costello, Who's On First. And I watched it and they liked it. They marveled at the comedy. They marveled at, oh my God, how could they go so fast? And how could they keep it all together? And blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't even that they were watching the first 1938 version. They were watching one of the replays from the 50s or whatever. And I commented, oh, go back and watch the original. Same thing with some of the current generation going back and watching some of the older cartoons is they'll do the same reaction videos, and some of them may like them and some of them may not. I don't know. It just depends on what you like and what you don't like and whatever. But it's like the older stuff does hold up, and some of the newer stuff holds up. Everything holds up is my point, I guess. And the funny thing is just, I don't know.
I don't think everything holds up. I would battle you on that one. But
no. That's not my point. My point is that this generation going back and watching some of the stuff that is good from the olden day, like Dirt was mentioning Huckleberry Hound, how we would watch that VHS endlessly and how Huckleberry Hound tunes are actually good. That's what I was meaning, is some of the older stuff holds up even today.
And I say one other thing, that when I was going through my list, I was trying to recognize, like, for instance, I don't think I've watched any anime after 1999. Like, everything I watched was 80s anime, early 90s anime. But I recognize a show like Sailor Moon having a very strong impact. So it was on my list, even though it wasn't something that I personally invested a lot of time. Dragon Ball is another one. My son loves Dragon Ball and has watched so much of it, and I've watched 20 minutes of it, and that's about as much as I could take. No offense to anybody. If that's your thing, live your life. Follow your truth, whatever. Just not my show. But I still knew that it was something that I needed to put on my list because it is such a big, pop culture phenomenon.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Just to move on and get to a couple other categories, and then we kind of continue some of this conversation. But another thing that we looked at was channels that were represented and production companies that were represented. And just to give everybody kind of a quick view of what's reigning supreme so far, channels wise, ABC is reigning supreme with 9 shows that debuted on ABC. That is followed by shows that just went straight into syndication with 7 of those, and 6 Cartoon Network, and then 5 from NBC, 5 from Disney, 4 from Nickelodeon, and 4 from Adult Swim. Those are the leaders. Although we saw 0 in last episode from Nickelodeon. So it had 4 in the first episode and 0 this time around. So that was an interesting thing from a channel standpoint. I'll go through the production companies and then get your guys' reaction. Production companies right now, we are seeing Hanna-Barbera lead the way with 6, and then Disney with 5. Everything else is at 2 or 3. We saw nothing from Marvel, nothing from Nickelodeon, nothing from the WB in last episode. We did see our first 2 Cartoon Network and our first 2 from William Street, first 2 from Mainframe last episode. Steve, any thoughts on channels or production companies as we kind of head into our top 50?
I think we'll start whittling away some of these on this episode. I don't think that we're going to hit some of the main ones, but we're definitely going to see some that haven't from some of those stations at this point, I think.
Absolutely. Another thing we looked at was genre representation. We just picked out a couple to kind of pinpoint and look at based on what we saw in our original list 15 years ago. One thing that was heavily represented 15 years ago was our superhero cartoons. We saw 5 of those fall in the very first episode, the 100 through 76. We saw 0 of those in last episode, the 75 through 51. So we're still sitting at just 5 superhero cartoons. As far as like the adult primetime or adult comedy shows, we saw 0 of those in the very first episode, but we did have they came back with a vengeance, and our last episode was 7 in that one. So they're sitting at 7. And then anime, we saw 4 in our first episode and 2 last episode. So they're sitting at 6. So right now, superhero 5, anime 6, adult primetime comedies 7. Dirt, any surprises there?
You don't consider Johnny Quest and Kim Possible to be superhero shows? Come on.
I was taking strictly DC Marvel just for that purpose. Try to make it easy. We also, I forgot, sci-fi. We did suggest that sci-fi would probably be heavily represented. We've seen 15 of those so far, 9 in the first episode and 6 in the second.
I love that Space Ghost Coast to Coast made the list, even though it's, not in the top 50, but that's one of my all-time favorite shows, like ever. And that's one of those shows I remember in college, people sitting around drinking, waiting for it to come on so they could check out the show. That was something that was, it refueled a lot of people with their interest in animation, specifically cartoons, superhero stuff, So it's great to see that type of thing on there.
Yeah, I was impressed to see from going from 0 in the first episode to 7 was not something I predicted. What do you think about superheroes? We saw 5 first time, 0 last time. Are they going to have a heavy presence in our top 50?
I mean, do you consider G.I. Joe a superhero?
No, I'm strictly counting Marvel and DC.
Technically, that's a Marvel, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, technically.
You're right.
You can make an argument with Transformers and the storylines, I mean.
Right.
Yeah, boy. I think we're definitely gonna see some more. I mean, that's not the end of superheroes. But I think we saw, Super Friends. That's definitely like a much older demographic type of superhero one. I think, although I was surprised to see Invincible, maybe just because it's so new, it hasn't really gotten around as much. But here's the question though: Underdog. You put that? Could you make an argument for that being superhero as well? Because I mean, let's face it. I mean,
yeah. In a way, I excluded it from this. I excluded things that were more like I guess
think we need a recount. We need a recount on superhero stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Genres. Another thing, just to kind of get a feel for kind of where we are at and what's to come here. So first, just Dirt, I'll give you one more chance since you weren't on the last episode. Before we get into what's to come today, any final reactions to the first 50 that we revealed? Any like the biggest surprise, or just happy that something made it that you saw?
Well, okay, I will say you had your just missed it list or whatever you called it, the post 100.
Yeah,
and I found it really amusing that Magic School Bus was on there, because to me, my mom was a grade school teacher. And so that was a show that she would actually play in the classroom. And so for me, that was always like an educational, like I always saw that as, something you watched because it was too rainy for you to go outside and play in the playground. So you'd watch Magic School Bus type of thing. And so
and it was weird. The funny thing for me was, as I thought that would be something that, with our first list 15 years ago with only 20 people, that we may have just got like a few of those folks that were really high on Magic School Bus, and it was maybe more just based on the group that we had together for that one. But I was shocked. Now we expanded it from 20 to 44 lists, and it still had a lot of love for Magic School Bus even this time around. So I thought there's apparently more love than I thought there was for Magic School Bus out there.
But again, it could be just one of those things that they saw so much. It was everywhere at the time in late 90s, whatever, that just then they do the reruns through school again. Kids are sick and can't play outside. It's whatever. I will say the one thing that did kind of shock me was that Young Justice wasn't higher on the list. Was in the just missed it category, and I would have expected that to be much higher, especially considering it had a successful toy line, video game, comic books, and everything else. I know when my son was little, that was something that really kind of formed his opinion about superheroes when he was a little kid. So I was surprised that wasn't higher.
I get it. Makes sense. We'll get more thoughts on the ones that have already been revealed. You can leave comments at the website, geekcastradio.com, or interact with us on social media and let us know what your thoughts on all that stuff is. Mike and Steve will give more information about that at the end of the show as well. But I think it's time to turn the page on the stuff that we've already revealed and get towards the stuff that we have not revealed yet. So let's kind of look ahead to today's group of 25. Just a few pieces of business that we should get out of the way. Mike and Steve, we've done this before, but you'll be new to it. But we do have a couple ties in today's episode. So we will see two ties that will come up. So we had 0 in our last episode. We had 3 in the first, but we're going to go back and have 2 more today, and then we will have 1 in our final episode. So
wait, quick question. I need a clarification. Yep. When you have a tie, like I didn't see.
We decide.
Okay, so just on the spot, you're going to pick one over another?
The 4 of us will debate it, and we will decide which one gets higher.
And so if one of us has more money than the others, can we
So hopefully it's not a 2-2 vote, and then we'll be able to do that, because it worked in the first episode. It was just Steve, Mike, and myself, so we had an odd number of votes. We didn't have any ties last week when we had the foursome, so now we're testing a new ground here, ties with a foursome, so we can't split 2-2. And then
send all money to the GeekCast Radio Network, LLC.
Also, something that we've been keeping track is people's overall number one. Like we said in the introductory episode where we revealed those just missed ones, we had 3 people's number one that were not going to make the top 100 overall. We already let that out of the bag. We did not see anybody's number one in the first episode, so that was good, I guess. And we saw 2 last episode. There was one person that had Reboot number 1 overall, and there was one person that had Sailor Moon number 1 overall. We are going to see 2 more of those fall in today's episode. So we'll see 2 additional number 1s fall. And for those that are doing math, that means 3 didn't appear, 2 that have already been revealed, 2 that are going to be revealed. And that means that there's 37 number 1s left for the final episode. So that is an impressive number of number 1s that did actually make our top 25. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. We did mention the points a couple times here. I just want to throw this factoid out and see what Steve's reaction is to it, or Mike. Reboot was our 51. That was the last episode, or the last series that we revealed on the end of the last episode. Reboot had 1,129 points. As far as going back 15 years ago, that would have been good for coming in at number 11.
That's insane.
That's how, with 44 lists, obviously we had a lot more points to divvy out this time around. So Reboot score would have been good last time around for top 11, but it came in at 51 here. Just some more data for the data nerds out there. Our point range today will go from 1148 up to 1689. So that's the point range we're talking about with this set of 25. As far as how many of the 44 lists these shows appeared on, the lowest that we'll see today is a show that appeared on 17 of the 44 lists. The highest will get all the way up to 31. So a show that appeared on 31 of the 44 list. We did talk about how we looked at all of the shows that we were considering for this list, and we looked at all the various Emmys and Annies and different awards that you could be nominated for and win. Only 7 shows out of today's set of 25 are quote unquote awardless. So there's only 7 that didn't win awards, and there's specific reasons for that, which I will let you know. But all the other ones won awards. And then we talked about the different lists that we looked at when we were trying to come up with our nominees. We looked at, the IGN list and the TV Guide list and IndieWire and different things like that. And the shows that are listed in today's episode, every one of them was at least on 3 of those 9 lists. So nothing appeared on less than 3 of those lists. And we do have 3 shows that we're going to talk about today that were on all 9 lists that were represented in every list that we looked at. Another thing that we have been keeping track of is movement. Since we have a reference point from 15 years ago, we've been looking at shows that rose, shows that fell, shows that entered the top 100 that weren't previously, and things of that nature. So as far as shows that are going to see a higher ranking than they did 15 years ago, we're going to have 12 of those today that actually rose up the rankings. So almost half of the reveal today will be shows that increased their standings from 15 years ago. Some of them only increased by 1 spot. We did have one show that's going to have increased 61 spots. That is our biggest improvement. We had one that was 61, one that was 58 spots, one that was 54 spots. So we had 3 kind of major climbers, the rest variations from 1 to 61. We are going to see 10 shows that dropped from 15 years ago. That also ranges from just dropping 1 spot to dropping 16 spots. And we are going to see 11 shows revealed today that are within 10 spots of their previous finish. So 11 shows are within 10 spots. Actually, 19 of the 25 we revealed today are going to be within 16 spots of where they showed up last time around. 12 shows today are going to appear on the same section of the countdown as they did 15 years ago. So 12 shows that are in our 50 through 26 were also in our 50 through 26 last time around. So that's just about half of them. 5 shows that we revealed today were in our top 25 last time around.
Wow.
4 shows we revealed today were in last episode, so they would have been in the 50 through 75. And 1 show that we revealed today was in the 76 through 100. I know that's no possible way that anybody could have been keeping track of all those numbers that fast as I just threw them out there, but that means that there was 3 shows that were not in our top 100 15 years ago that we will be revealed today. So out of those 3 brand new shows into our top 100, 2 of them did receive votes last time around. 1 of them did not. So those are our kind of new entrants in there. So Steve, any reactions to all the data and any thoughts before we start revealing shows today?
I'm a little scared of what's going to fall today.
As you should be. Holy crap. Like I've been saying the whole countdown, this is a slobber knocker, folks.
Yes, it should be a slobber knocker, as Mike likes to say. I also have a few data points listed for as we kind of go through and start revealing things. And then at the end, I did ask our friend ChatGPT which shows that we reveal today should have been saved until next episode and which ones maybe should have been on the other side of the 50 mark. And we'll see if we agree or disagree with them as far as that goes. Mike, any other thoughts, or should we start revealing?
Let's go.
50.
Phew, what a day. Wait, are you recording? Okay. Hi, Sterling Archer, the world's greatest spy. God, you've got so much to catch up on. So we're going to have to montage the shit out of this thing.
That's right. First up today is number 50, and we're going to start in the 2000s. So we'll add another check mark to the decade of the 2000s here. This show helped prove that adult animation could sustain a highly stylized, dialogue-driven comedy built around rapid-fire writing rather than shock humor alone. The show's visual style, dense references, and commitment to character flaws helped elevate expectations for writing sophistication in adult animated sitcoms. We're also talking about the only show in our entire countdown that aired on FX originally. This would be Archer. So we are starting with Archer. Primetime adult comedy continues from our trend from last time around here. This was on 3 of the lists that we talked about. It's been nominated for over 23 awards. This is our only show today that did not appear last time around because it was brand new and it just wasn't in the knowledge of everybody yet. So it did not receive any votes last time around, even though I believe it may have been eligible because it did start in 2009. But it didn't receive any votes. So this is the only show that's going to appear today that did not receive a single vote last time around. Mike, thoughts on Archer?
I tried to fit it into my homework this time around. I just couldn't. I've seen clips of it, but it's still on my homework list. So
I've seen bits and pieces. Like I remember seeing, especially the early seasons, I saw probably half a dozen, maybe 6 to 10 episodes. I really enjoyed it, but just because of wherever I was in life at that point, it wasn't something that I was able to just kind of get through all of it. And I've always had it like in the back of my mind of something I wanted to go revisit. I know it's not going to be for everybody. Everybody has different comedy tastes and things like that. I kind of appreciate what they did with the genre of almost like that James Bond-esque, but in the adult comedy animation world. And I'm not sure from season to season if the quality held up over the course of all of its seasons or if it was more driven by, what it had in the beginning, but it's definitely on my list of things that I want to go back and revisit. I enjoyed what I saw, but that's all I can speak of. Dirt, have you seen any Archer?
I've seen bits and pieces of it. It was something that my kids were young enough that I didn't really want to have it on when they were up and
Makes
around.
sense.
And every time I watch it, it makes me just want to watch Bob's Burgers instead.
Well, it's got the same voice actor.
Yeah,
so.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just I'm like, oh yeah, well this is kind of interesting, but I'd rather watch Bob's Burgers. So that's.
I think one thing that I appreciated is like it felt like we had gotten so many of the more just straight sitcom adult animation, like especially when you go down the Family Guy and all the Family Guy clones that came after it with American Dad and. Obviously before that we had King of the Hill and we had Bob's Burgers and we have a lot of those things. Like I'm ignorant when it comes to Bob's Burgers. I haven't seen any of that. So I could be speaking out of turn there, but we had a lot of more of the sitcom style adult animation. So for me, this was almost like a breath of fresh air because it was a different take. It was a different genre. I guess it's more similar to what we've been getting recently with things like Invincible or with some of those other ones where that kind of adult animation is taking on some other genres, which is kind of nice. Steve, any experience with Archer?
I checked it out for the research purposes. Outside of that, like I was aware of it. It just wasn't one that like resonated with me or that I cared about. And then it just kind of confirmed it when I was doing the research. So
like I said, it's not for everybody for sure.
Yeah.
It did appear on 17 of the 44 lists, so that's the lowest number we'll see today, but those that ranked it did rank it fairly high. So we start with Archer, and let's see where we go next.
49.
We've got to upgrade the apparatus. We've got to get cool new superhero stuff to battle this all-encompassing evil.
And who's going to pay for all this cool new stuff?
That's not the point. Spoon!
I don't get it.
Spoon!
Look, I'm just a sidekick.
All right, our next show climbed 11 spots in the rankings from number 60 last time to number 49 here. We're going from a Fox Kids show from the 90s here. Perhaps one of the smartest superhero satires ever made, arriving well before comic book deconstruction became mainstream. Let's talk about The Tick. So The Tick from 1994. Like I said, went from 60 last time up to 49. So it's now in our top 50. We ended with you last time, Steve. So let's start with you this time. What do you think of The Tick?
That's one I actually have watched. So it wasn't one of my favorite shows. I mean, by far, but I did watch it. It was entertaining for what it was. It was kind of goofy too with the Tick and Arthur and some of the other characters. Like those are really honestly the main two I remember.
Right.
I don't remember much of it anymore, but I think it was humorous for some of what it was. But if I had to choose between watching some of these shows or superhero shows, I chose the mainstream stuff over this. It wasn't one that really resonated. I would have rather watched like The Mask or something else.
Gotcha. Dirt, any experience with the Tick? And I know it has kind of like a cult status, but is it worthy enough to be in our top 50?
Yeah, I love the Tick. I actually I read the comics for years before the animated or the live action show came along. So I was really excited when it came. And then on top of that, I grew up in the Monkees revival in the 80s. And so Mickey Dolenz doing the voice of Arthur was something that just kind of blew my mind at the time. So I was a huge fan of the show. Man-Eating Cow, Paul the Samurai. Like these were characters that I had been reading in print for a long time, and then to see it come to life in a show, and for other people to suddenly go like, "Oh, hey, have you seen this new show?" It's like, yeah, I know all about this show. Like, shut up about the show. I know what the show is. I loved the Tick. It was fantastic, and that's one that I have actually. I'd say probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I sat down and rewatched it through. And I didn't realize that Mickey Dolenz wasn't the voice of Arthur the entire time. He stepped out at some point. I don't know if they went back on tour or what the deal was, but someone else came in and did the voice. I don't remember.
Wasn't it like Rob Paulson or something at one point?
Yeah, that sounds
I think
right.
so, yeah. Because Townsend is the Tick. So Townsend Coleman is the Tick, and I think Rob took over for Mickey. I think.
Interesting.
But yeah, I love the show. I highly recommend it.
was.
Yeah, if anyone has not seen it, I totally recommend that's one you can check.
Yeah, I remember watching it. What year did it come out?
94.
92.
94.
Yeah.
Okay, it was in the 90s. I remember catching bits and pieces of it, and really to this day I haven't watched an episode in a long time, but all I remember is Spoon.
Everybody knew that reference.
Yeah. For once, Mike made a reference everybody got. So we're turning corners here on the GeekCast Radio Network.
Funny guy.
Interested to find out, because I didn't think they were still doing too much in 1994. But this one of the production companies listed for the Tick is Sunbow. So that was an interesting thing that I found when I was putting all the data together for
probably right before they went out of business.
I think they went out of business in 98, but I just didn't think they were doing much in those last few years. So, all right. So we have Archer, we have the Tick. Let's see where we go next.
48.
The evil wizard Aku has destroyed my homeland and hurtled me into the future, ruled by his hand. To return to my past, I must fight him now. This is my quest.
All right. For our next one, I got to rely on you guys, because this one's not my cup of tea here. We're going back to the 2000s here. I did rank it in my top 100. I just know it's not my cup of tea, so I can't speak a lot to it. But this said that this is one of the clearest examples of animation functioning as cinematic art on television. This creator's use of silence, visual composition, pacing, and action choreography elevated the medium stylistically, and the show influenced action animation across the industry and demonstrated that children's animation could be visually ambitious and emotionally restrained. We are talking about Cartoon Network's Samurai Jack. So Samurai Jack from 2001. This one did fall 10 spots. We had it at 38. Last time around, it comes in at 48 this time around. We'll start with you, Mike, this time. It was on 6 of the 9 lists that we referenced when we were creating our nominees. What do you think of Samurai Jack?
I passed the samurai sword to Dirt. I've only seen like half an episode. I know Phil Lamar is Samurai Jack. That's about the best I know.
I will. Your introduction of it was fantastic, because it was a show that I remember. One of those shows that I think, like, the graphic design of the show was so phenomenal and over the top, and it did do a lot framing. There are times that you could just pull a frame off of it and it looked like a piece of art. modern art. It was very stylized and angular. But I'm not surprised, though, that it dropped, because it is a show that has sort of disappeared. I don't really hear anyone talking about it. I don't see it. There's no, comic book series going on or people talking about it on YouTube or anything like that. It's just kind of quietly gone away. And I think part of that is because the way it was written, it was very dense, and you really needed to watch them in series instead of, catch an episode here or episode there. Like if you missed an episode, you might miss something kind of big to the story. And I think that may have hurt it a little bit. So
it's interesting that you.
I was just going to say, it's a really great show. I think it's a really great show, and I'm glad it's on the list, and I'm glad it's represented. But it's one of those that I'm not surprised that it's dropped.
I like that you brought that up, because that's something that we haven't talked about a lot on the last couple episodes, but it is something that Steve, Mike, and myself discussed on our nomination episodes, where we revealed which shows were eligible for each time period. And we talked about, being 15 years later, if that would hurt or help shows, like certain shows. Like we predicted that certain shows would drop a little bit because they've become that much more in the past, and nothing has been keeping them in the zeitgeist or in the relevancy factor. And we've talked about other ones that we thought, due to whether it be reboots or remakes or other different things, may have actually increased in popularity over time. It's kind of like, the movie that comes out and is popular right when it comes out, but then gains like a cult status, used to be through like the video store rentals and the things like that. Now I guess you could say streaming and things of that nature. But yeah, it's interesting because this one debuted in 2001. So, for the first couple of years of the 2000s, it's probably top of mind. And then we do the list in 2011. It's not that far removed, right? But now we're in, 2026. So it's been a lot more time. And has anything kept Samurai Jack in the forefront? I think you make a good point for that. Steve, any thoughts on our number 48 entry?
It was one of the shows that I was catching towards kind of the tail end of me watching cartoons for a while, because I was just getting a job and busy living. But I did enjoy it when I did watch it, because again, I watched Cartoon Network between that time because of Toonami and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. So I remember watching it. It's one of the ones that I really enjoyed, the dark tone to it. It again, the artwork really played into it. And Gennady Tartakovsky's artwork. It's so hard to say the dude's name. It's one of the few shows that I feel like his artwork really shined. And it really resonated with those that watched it at the time, and then it kind of just fizzled out after 2004 and reappeared for a 5th season in 2017 on Toonami during the Adult Swim block. And it had a slightly different tone. It had a kind of a different run with it, and it was kind of picking it back up. But I feel like even then, it's still 9 years removed. And at that time, it was already 13 years removed when it came back for the 5th season. So had it been more consistent, or had it hung around a little longer in the 2017 to like maybe during the COVID block, it probably would have hung around a lot longer.
Yeah, I could see that. It did maintain its spot in our top 50, just not quite as high of a spot as last time. I'm interested to hear your guys' reaction to our next one. It's going to be our biggest climber of the day. This one improved 61 spots from last time.
47.
I am Daria Morgendorfer. I don't have low self-esteem. I have low esteem for everyone else. Well, now I am excited. I'd never forgive myself if I missed it.
All right, next up, I think this is going to be one of our wins, one of our many wins, I think, in this time around as far as improving our list, because I think it definitely warrants being in our top 100, and it just missed last time. So last time we had this one ranked at 107, and now it has climbed all the way to 47. A very specific generational voice. I would say this show expanded what female-led adult animation could look like. Dry social commentary, intelligence, and emotional realism made it one of MTV's defining animated properties. We are talking about 1997's Daria. So just missed our countdown by 7 spots 15 years ago. It has climbed all the way into our top 50 this time around. Steve, what do you think of Daria making that much of an improvement?
Well, one, I kind of surprised again that it didn't make it last time, just because I know this was kind of one of the bigger known shows on MTV at the time. I caught glimpses of it. It really wasn't for me, but I did catch glimpses of it, and there are some places you can watch it for free still today. And it was only on for 5 years, but I think it was on around the same time as Celebrity Deathmatch. So between that and this, they were kind of the mainstay staples of MTV at the time. So I think it's deserved.
Mike, what do you think of Daria?
Yeah, it's very well deserved. I bought a T-shirt of it once.
That surprises me.
Well, it was for my late wife at the time.
Okay. I was like, I can't picture you sporting the Daria shirt, Mike.
No. It was not for me. It was for somebody else. But no, I've seen clips of it. I've never actively sought it out myself. So, but yeah, no, I know what the cultural impact of the show is. I know what a big deal the show was at the time, and I'm gonna have to check it out at some point.
Yeah, and it's another one though that I wasn't sure, right? Like it was 107th last time. I wasn't sure if it would gain ground over the last 15 years. Like I had it on my list last time around. I have it on my list this time around. I actually had it ranked exactly where we have it right now at 47. So I've had, the appreciation for it both times around, but I was thinking that 15 years more removed, it might have dropped even further instead of climbed so much. Dirt, are you surprised that it has such a climb? And do you think it's warranted in our top 50 here?
I am surprised that it's been such a climb. Not that it's undeserved. It was a really good show. I remember watching it when it came out. I always thought Janine Garofalo did the voice until I looked it up on Wikipedia one day, and I was like, "Holy crap, that was somebody else!"
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those shows that perfectly captured like that slice of time. Like you can go back and watch it, and it feels very much like a late '90s show.
It's like the animated version of My So-Called Life.
Yeah,
very much so. Yeah,
it was very dry.
Yeah,
and very. I don't know what's the right word. I want to say I don't. Uncaring is the word that comes to mind, but that's not really the right word. It's more of a. I don't know. There's like a malaise to the whole thing, but
yeah, it's a very dry malaise sense of humor show. It's I don't know,
but still very relatable. Like even to this day, I know I've seen a lot of people doing those projects where they build their own, cable networks on CRT TVs with the Raspberry Pi, and it's one of those shows that often gets put into the lineup, and it makes perfect sense. And when you go back and watch it now, it does feel dated, but dated only in the time capsule sense. Like it's still relatable, but it's like when you watch like Good Times or something, where you go, yeah, that's obviously set in a much older time period, but it's still so relatable at the way the characters are acting and reacting and interacting. It's a really good show.
So let me ask you this: out of the four of us, do you know off the top of your head now versus 15 years ago what the difference is in the people that submitted lists? Like, do we have the exact same 20 people that submitted 15 years ago? I don't think we do.
We talked about it in the intro. Yeah, we have 9 of the original 20.
Yeah, so that's was my thinking when we were talking about this specific show. We only have 9 of the original 20 people. So we have so many other new people, and I think that's what got some of the movement on this new countdown, as well as a bunch of the other changes that have made this new countdown.
Absolutely. I think it's good that we've increased our ranking of Daria, though. I think that's a correction that is well deserved. So, all right, we're going to have to go from one of our biggest movers to one of the other top 3 biggest movers coming up next.
46.
Hi, what's your name?
Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup in The Powerpuff Girls Saving the World Before Bedtime.
This show blended superhero action, anime influence, retro aesthetics, and absurd comedy into one of Cartoon Network's most defining originals. help normalize female-led action cartoons for mainstream audiences while also becoming a merchandising powerhouse. Stylistically, it influenced an enormous amount of 2000s television animation. It barely made the list last time, coming in at 100. This time, it has risen into the top 50 at number 46, a 54 ranking climb for the Powerpuff Girls from 1998, another Cartoon Network show. I was shocked last time when it barely made the countdown at 100. I think I had it ranked 52nd this time around. It comes in at 46. Makes me happy. I'm actually going to be happy most of today because the only show that I did not have ranked in today's episode was The Tick. So every other show we talk about today, I had ranked at least somewhere on my top 100. So I'm happy. I think Powerpuff Girls deserves the love. I think it's top 50 worthy. It is also our first show that we've revealed in the entire countdown that appeared on all 9 lists that we referenced when we were trying to make our nominees. So a lot of love for Powerpuff Girls. Mike, what do you think of it coming in here at number 46?
I love that Mojo Jojo.
Oh, God. Mojo Jojo.
Yeah, he does it better than I do it. I used to be able to do a Mojo Jojo voice. But no, I love Powerpuff Girls. It's hilariously fun and awesome. And yeah, Tara Strong is Bubbles.
There's a lot of great voice actors.
Kathleen Barr, I think, is Blossom, maybe, if I remember correctly.
No, Kathy Cavadini.
Cavadini, that's who's Blossom. But yeah, no, that's I think that's how we got the first Tara Strong interview we did was because of Bubbles and Powerpuff and all that. Bubbles and Batgirl was the first Tara Strong interview we did. But no, Powerpuff Girls, you got to watch out for that Chemical X, folks. But the show is just so interesting and fun, and you got them versus Mojo Jojo and all the other villains they go up against, and it's just, and again, you're talking, what'd you say, 98, right?
Yeah.
For the day, yeah.
Yep.
Female-led empowerment in the late 90s, that can't get better than that.
So Steve, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Steve, last time 100, this time top 50. Some maybe would argue that it's top 25 worthy. Where do you fall on it?
I mean, I think it fits where it's at. It's kind of come and gone a little bit more than Samurai Jack, but it's kind of come and gone over the years. I know they did some messing around with it in like 2013, 2014, and then there was talks of doing a live action. And then there was a couple of discussions in 2017, but again, it hasn't really kept up either. And so I can't see it being in the top 25 for that reason alone.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely has staying power, and it should be in the top 50 just because of the juggernaut it was at that time. And honestly, it was entertaining, even if you weren't into that type of superhero program.
Right. Dirt, final thoughts on Powerpuff Girls?
I think Powerpuff Girls is a lot like ska music, where not everybody loves it, but the people who are into it are really into it.
Yeah.
And everybody's pretty much familiar with it. I remember the animation style being very distinct and something that I really appreciated at the time. But again, just like Samurai Jack, it's one of those things that it's just kind of disappeared. And except for, again, those rumblings like you were talking about of trying to do a live action. And I hope they never do a live action Powerpuff. Please, never. But I would love to see like maybe an animated special, and they can do a whole multiverse thing with the Powerpuff Girls. I think that would be a lot of fun to see them take on that type of zeitgeist that we've seen with all the other superhero stuff. I think they are good for a revival, but as long as it's animated, just make it 100%. An animated revival.
Makes sense.
Animated revivals for everything animated.
For those keeping track, so far we've had 3 shows from the 1990s and 2 shows from the 2000s. And we've had 3 time periods that we have seen nothing from yet. Let's change that. And let's also make another first for our countdown with our next entry.
45.
Activate interlock. Dynatherms connected. Infracells up. Mega thrusters are go.
Let's go, Voltron Force!
Coming in at 45. This show played a huge role in introducing anime-influenced action storytelling to Western audiences. The combining robot concept became iconic and heavily influential in toy-based and action animation. Its reach across generations also gave it a legacy beyond its original run. This one has climbed up 9 spots. It's our first show from the 1980s and our first anime. We're talking about the 1984 Voltron. Mike, what do you think of Voltron coming in here at number 45? Last time around, it was number 54. So we've just flip-flopped the numbers.
Interesting. It only moved up 9 spots. Huh. Well, at least it moved up the needle instead of down the needle. So there's that. At least we don't have to deal with Sven, thank God.
As Mike continues to find ways to reference things about the show.
What? I love Lion Force. No, seriously.
I was just going to mention that it's one of 7 shows, one of our 7 shows that did not have any awards, but that's not uncommon for the anime genre. So
Voltron's too awesome to need awards. Like, does it deserve awards? Yes. Does it need them? No. But no, love Voltron Lion Force. 5 seasons, 5 lions, absolutely great. Just between Keith and Pidge and Hunk and Lance and Princess Allura and Karan and the Castle of Lions going up against Lothar and all that, and it was just a fun show. I absolutely loved it. And the music for that show is unbeatable. Absolutely love that show. So cool.
Steve, it brings up a point here. Obviously 15 more years have passed, so one could expect maybe that it would have fallen more in the rankings. Was it helped by the number of revivals, reboots, spinoffs that we've seen over the years to keep it somewhat current, or what do you think led it to jumping up 9 more spots?
Oh, I 100% think that had to do with it staying on the list and jumping up. Between 1984 and 2018, there's been an animated series at any given point. I mean, yeah, they gave it a break for like 12 years from the 80s to the 90s, and then gave it another break between 2000 and 2011, and then gave it a 4-year break from that series. And now there's going to be a live action film. So I definitely think that this is warranted. And I think that I definitely think that it's going to only continue to grow in pop culture just because it's had a consistency bias going for it over the years.
Dirt, do you think its role in introducing anime influenced storytelling to Western audiences makes it deserving of top 50, or do you think it's kind of space as far as what it was in 1984 maybe gets it a spot in our countdown, but maybe not top 50? Where do you fall on Voltron?
I think it should be number 1, but whatever. No, I love Voltron. I don't know if it's just because Voltron was like a St. Louis thing. It came out of KPLR, and I live an hour and a half from St. Louis. So I remember as a kid, it was like a really big deal around here, like just as a real world thing beyond it being the cartoon show. But I also remember it was the first instance I remember of a foreign show being kind of sucked into US TV and then being Frankensteined. We saw that with Power Rangers, obviously later on, did that massively. But this was actually, you had the Lion Force Voltron and the Vehicle Force Voltron. And so suddenly after like 3 seasons, I think it was, or 4 seasons, it suddenly just shifts. And suddenly it's like, oh, you have the deep space galactic, and it's like, what the heck just happened to my cartoon show? But I was one of those kids. 1 year for Christmas, I got all the Panache Place lions, the figures, the Castle of Lions, like everything. And I remember sneaking down into the basement. My mom hid the Christmas presents in the same space in the basement every year. And I snuck down there and looked, and I saw the Castle of Lions. And so I cut the seal on it, took it out of the box, and put a couple bricks in and sealed it back up, and took it up to my room and played with it for 2 weeks before Christmas. That's how much I loved Voltron. It's something that's always stuck with me. When they made the revival in, let's see, what was it? 2000. The Voltron Force. What was that? 2011, I think it was.
Yeah, 2011. Yeah.
I remember getting contacts with World Event Productions because we were doing so many shows and reviews and going to conventions and stuff that I was able to get my hands on some of the original Japanese discs. And so I don't speak Japanese, but I can sit there and watch them and compare them, to the US one. And it's funny because I've seen it so many times. I can watch the Japanese one and be like, well, that's different. That's different. That's different. They didn't show that dead body in the US version, but it's Voltron is something that's like always stuck in my mind, and it's become vernacular at this point, I think maybe with younger kids, they might lean more towards Megazord. But it's that same concept. Whereas I think, especially in my generation, you have a group of people that come together and you're like, we're like Voltron as we all come together. And someone's always like, I'll form the head. It's such a fun property. Yeah. And I've watched every incarnation of it. I've loved not the last one so much, but I've loved Voltron.
Legendary Defender wasn't that bad. I've only watched
it started better.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's like the slower kid in class. He is what he is. He tries hard. God bless him.
I didn't realize Legendary Defender had 8 seasons, but I did watch the first 2 and they were good.
Well, yeah. I will say though that it is something I noticed just a couple years ago for was it the 40th? They re-released the Lions, and you could buy them I saw them at Target. And so, and they were the same molds, so they could interact with the other ones. So if you were missing one, you could buy the replacement from the anniversary line. So I think it's one of those things that, even though there hasn't been anything really on TV in a while, it's just such a neat concept, and it's stuck in people's heads, and it never really goes away. And every time they bring it back, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I know Voltron." Like, it's just so universal and so beloved.
And I'm like, go ahead, Kev. Sorry.
I do have a Panache Place King Zarkon figure in my Heroes and Villains action figure collection. So I don't have the I don't have the hero portion of that because I can't decide which way I want to go. It's kind of like the Turtles. But I did have this ranked in my top 100. I had it at 76 just because it's hard when you only have so many spots. But I totally get it being represented here in some way, shape, or form. So I think it's good. Mike, final thought.
As a kid, I grew up on Lion Force, and then somebody tried to show me Vehicle Force, and I was like, what the hell is this thing? I have never liked Vehicle Force Voltron.
To each their own.
Well,
Lion
Vehicle Force Voltron doesn't like you either, so how about that?
Yeah.
All right.
1984 forever.
Enough with the 80s. Let's go back to the 2000s. And back when we were revealing numbers 82 and 79 and 78, we got things like the Spectacular Spider-Man and Batman the Brave and the Bold and Invincible. And then we went on a superhero drought until this next pick.
44.
How could you lose the remote?
What makes you so sure I lost it?
You must meet my friend.
This party is pointless.
Loser. Jerk. What did you say?
All right, coming in next. A balance of anime-inspired visuals, superhero action, serialized storytelling, and comedy in a way that made superhero animation more accessible to younger audiences without sacrificing the emotional stakes. It helped define superhero television for an entire generation and expanded the appeal of DC characters beyond Batman and Superman. We are going to 2003's another show that made a major climb, 58 spots up. It was 104th 15 years ago. Now it is 44th. We're talking about Teen Titans. So Teen Titans with a huge jump in the rankings all the way up to 44th. Just missed the countdown last time around. Steve, what do you think of Teen Titans?
I was not a huge fan of the show. I know that there was a lot of people that did like it back at the time that it came out.
Mhm.
And this is the original Teen Titans, not Teen Titans Go, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, this is the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, Teen Titans Go is like number 4 or something like that.
Quiet, you.
I did find that one more interesting to watch. Just because they were short. Yeah, so I don't love this series. I was more of like the primary characters, and I was fine as long as these showed up in like the Justice League or the Batman or whatever. I was never a fan of this show. Even I've seen it a lot over the years, and I still don't care enough to finish it.
Our first Warner Brothers production company show since that Batman, the Brave and the Bold at number 79. Dirt, what do you think of Teen Titans, and does it warrant being in our top 50?
Top 50 is tough. I think it deserves to be on the list. I don't know if the thing is, though, I do remember when it shifted from Teen Titans to Teen Titans Go, and a lot of people were so upset because obviously it was a massive change in tone. It was a massive characterization. The animation style was completely different. So it was the same characters, but it totally different universe, really. But I remember the original show was something that my son, again, it was something he got into. And of course, I was familiar with the characters coming from a comic book background. So I was excited. And so it was one of those things where he wanted to watch it. I was like, yeah, we're going to watch it. Like, let's go. Like, come on. So it was a good, show that we bonded over with him being a little kid at the time. And I remember it being much darker than I expected. It was one that, they would have Deathstroke, and he was actually evil and dangerous and murderous, which is not something you saw a lot in kids animation. So I was excited for it. I was hyped for it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But again, it's one I've never really gone back to. And I think it may be, again, because of the storytelling was serialized. And so you really needed to watch episodes in order as opposed to just going and watching a random episode here and there. So it's something that I've thought about maybe going back to watch. But then if I want to go back and watch it, I think I have to subscribe to HBO Max or something. And I'm not doing that. So.
Mike, where do you fall on Teen Titans?
Well, there's been this long debate whether it's in the DC animated universe continuity, and it is not. The only thing that ties it to it is that Glenn Murakami works on Teen Titans, but there are no direct ties story-wise to Batman the Animated Series, Superman, Justice League, or whatever. I tried watching the show and I just can't get into it, even with Tara Strong voicing Raven. Just not my thing. I would switch this with any other lower number on our list. Like you could put anything else here at 44. You could put Pink Panther. You could put Huckleberry Hound. You could put this anywhere in the lower tier.
So, Teen Titan fans, send your hate mail to geekcastradio.com. No, just kidding. Interesting. All right. So, not a ton of love from the panel, but enough love from the contributors to get it into our top 50. Well, let's go back for our next one, back to 1984.
43.
Okay, guys, we're ready to roll. Hey, Kermit, where are the stars? If this is Star Wars, we gotta have stars.
Coming right up, Gonzo.
All right, coming in next, we were just in 1984 for Voltron. We're going back there for our next entry. This series changed we just had one that rose like 61 spots with Daria. Powerpuff Girls went up 54 spots. Teen Titans went up 58 spots. How about one that went up one spot? From 44th to 43rd, we're talking about the classic Muppet Babies. The Muppet Babies, a show that basically stuck around for almost an entire decade as far as new episodes and things of that nature, it felt like. Also, a CBS cartoon. We have not seen many CBS cartoons. We saw Wacky Races, and then you could say Underdog, even though it debuted kind of on NBC and CBS within the first little bit. But not a lot of CBS love so far in the countdown, but we do get one here with Muppet Babies. It was on 5 of the 9 lists that we looked at. It was on 22 of the 44 contributors list, so that's half of them. The only other one that's been on half of the list was The Tick. So Muppet Babies here at number 43. We'll start with Dirt. What do you think of the Muppet Babies, and is it warranted in our top 100? And if so, is this a good spot for it at 43?
For a show that spun out of a dream sequence and Muppets Take Manhattan, I'm really kind of surprised it's this high on the list. Not that I didn't watch it when it was on, but it's also one of those shows that once it was no longer on, I don't know that I ever thought about it really much again. Maybe it's a Muppets fan, great memory from their childhood when they had something animated to hold them over, because live shows were aimed more towards adults, and this was the thing that's more for kids.
Yeah.
But again, it's just it's really interesting to see how some of these things play out, and how obviously it means a lot more to other people than it means to me. But I sure put it on the list. I don't have a problem with it.
I can see it both ways. Like, I can see, number one, people saying, well, it's not as elite status as maybe the Muppet Show and some of the Muppet movies and things of that nature. But I can see the flip side of that being like, well, this introduced the world of the Muppets to an entire new generation. And, probably one of the most successful transitions from quote unquote live action, even though it's Muppets, to animation. And stuff like that. I may have more of a soft spot just from where it hit me in my development and in my growth. Like, I think the kind of the children's programming aspect, the creativity and the things of that nature hit me at the right time. And I felt like it just was a staple of an entire generation. So I had this actually ranked number 23 on my list. I had it in the top 25, but I get some of that maybe a time period bias. Mike, what do you think of the Muppet Babies?
Love the Muppet Babies. You never knew what the hell they were going to come up against when they opened one of those doors.
I mean, I watched 107 episodes waiting to see what the nanny looked like. So
yeah, I never cared about that. I just, she's going to wear the same socks every day.
They're eventually going to show us, dang it.
They're never going to show us, dang it. No, I love Muppet Babies because, again, it was like, we'd seen all the movies to that point. We'd seen everything that we were going to be able to see. So why not show us in a different way and show us and again, what year did that come out?
1984.
80. Oh, wow. That's right. It was 84.
There was some movies that came on after this.
Well, okay. Well, there were, you're right. I guess I caught it in syndication then. I caught this in syndication around the time when everything was, and I'm gonna mimic it because that's what it was at that time. You get a kid's show, you get a kid's show, you get a kid's show. Everything with Tom and Jerry kids, Pup Named Scooby Doo, Flintstones kids, every not adult, but every
grown person show,
every grown person show, every animated show that we already knew was let's make them into kids and turn back time and do this and do that and whatever. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm just saying that's the trend in the mid to late 80s that the animation studios were doing. And this is one of the only ways I think that they ever put the Muppets in actual animation. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I absolutely love this show.
There was the Little Muppet Monsters, but that didn't last a super long time. And then obviously we have gotten a reboot of the Muppet Babies more recently. Steve, what do you think of Muppet Babies overall?
I mean, I think it's warranted. It was on for 8 seasons consecutively there in the 80s. So like was mentioned by the panel of, all these different kid shows, Pup Named Scooby-Doo, this, Tom and Jerry Kids. Mm-hmm. We were kind of in that era of the kidified versions of everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I I watched it and I grew up with it. I don't remember a whole lot of it, after I was like 5. I know that it came out before I was born, but I did watch it on rerun and with what I had after the point. Um, I don't see an issue with it being on the list or necessarily being here. I know that they did have a reboot of the show in 2018, so that could be part of it too. But I think a lot of it has to do with the older show.
I think too, one of the things that kind of resonates with me, not only did it come out, I guess, in my time period, so it's something that I have some, I guess, nostalgia for and things of that nature, but I think also it represents something that was completely unique at the time. Like, I don't remember too many other shows off the top of my head that were splicing in scenes from Star Wars and scenes from Indiana Jones, and I mean, they were literally interacting with like legit movie scenes that they were pulling from different things, and like all the music in the movies that they use in this show is one. I have read that that's one of the reasons why we've never really got the Muppet Babies released on DVD, Blu-ray, things of that nature, unless that's changed over the last 5 to 10 years. Maybe it has, but I know there's a lot of different legalities that you have to go through because of how much stuff they included in their show. And it was like a cool way to expose kids to some other classic movie making and things of that nature. So I thought that was kind of unique for that time period too. And it separated itself from a lot of shows that were similar to it that we got in the same time period.
Yeah, because what they did was, even though they were showing the stuff that you just mentioned, they essentially Looney Tunes that show. Even though the Looney Tunes shorts did similar things with live action, most of the things the Looney Tunes shorts showed were just generic scenes. Like, it wasn't specific scenes from specific movies. It was, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it was just film that they shot. It was just scenes that they had shot at the Warner Brothers lot at the time when they were making the Looney Tunes shorts. It wasn't scenes from movies that they were going to produce later, kind of thing. So, here's hoping one of these days, before we're all old and gray. Well, I'm already old and gray, but yeah. Exactly. We will get Muppet Babies on DVD, Blu-ray at some point.
I had no idea they rebooted the show.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I do prefer the original one, but my daughter did watch some of the new ones and had enough fun with them. Was it on? I don't know if it's on Disney or if it's on something else.
It was.
Was it Disney. Like Disney Plus streaming or something?
Disney,
yeah. All right. So that's our number 43. And now, folks, it's time to ring the bell. It's time for a battle of epic proportions. Our first tie coming up.
42.
Come on, Chucky! Yeah, let's go! I just have to go potty.
41.
Are they laughing at us?
No, Patrick. They're laughing next to us.
All right, our first tie of this episode. And let me tell you, not only did they tie with the amount of points, they're also both from the 90s. They're also both from Nickelodeon. They also both appeared on all 9 reference lists that we use. So they're the only other 2 that we're going to talk about today, besides what we already talked about with Powerpuff Girls. The only other 2 that appeared on all 9 lists. One of them appeared on more lists. One of them appeared on 24 compared to the other one that appeared on 19. But that just means that the ones that was on 19 of the list just were higher ranked. So I'm going to read you the description. We'll see if you guys can name the 2 shows here. All right. First one here. One of the most culturally dominant animated series ever created. It transcended television to become an internet meme engine, merchandising giant, multi-generational phenomenon. All right. The other one. Helped define Nickelodeon's original identity and proved animation could successfully tell stories from a child's emotional perspective rather than an adult viewpoint. Its influence on 90s kids animation and family-centered storytelling was enormous. Which 2 shows are battling it out here, guys?
SpongeBob versus Rugrats.
It is SpongeBob SquarePants versus the Rugrats.
Yeah.
And to make it even more interesting, last time around, they were ranked 46th and 43rd. So they were not too far away. Now one of them will be 42nd and one of them will be 41st. So they've gained a few spots. So Mike, you make the argument first. Do they both belong in our top 50? And if so, which one deserves to be one spot higher?
Yeah, they do. But I would definitely not have Rugrats in the top 50. I would have it way lower.
Really? I think you're going to be one of the only people that would say that.
I wouldn't have it in the top 50. I would have it somewhere like 56, 55, like somewhere there. Like I would not have it this high. SpongeBob definitely goes at 41. That's my vote.
I would say Rugrats is interesting, especially coming right after we talked about Muppet Babies. Like you could make the argument that like what Muppet Babies was for the 80s, Rugrats was for the 90s in a lot of ways. But I think this may be due to your age, Mike. And I know it's about the same age as I am, but so we might have just missed the Rugrats phenomenon. But I feel like anybody that was born after us, like Rugrats played such a huge part in their lifetime and in their like development. And then it lasted for so long. And there was so many like different ways that it kept living on. I think there was a few animated movies and like another spinoff, all grown up and things like that. I know like if my wife was on the record right now, she would be making a huge case for this to be even higher. She had this at number 6 overall. So she was a huge fan of the Rugrats. Steve, Rugrats and SpongeBob, how do you compare the two? Are they both top 50 worthy? They were both top 50 last time around. They're both going to be top 50 this time around. So is that right? And which one do you prefer?
So I definitely think they're both top 50 worthy. I can't contest that. I was never a huge fan of either show. However, my wife grew up with Rugrats. Like I mean, we're a year apart, like year and a half apart, but she did like Rugrats. I was never a huge Nickelodeon fan. I would watch the stuff if it was on. So that's not going for me well in either of these cases. That being said, I do find that Rugrats was kind of like the Muppet Babies for the 90s kids. And it does kind of live on, and it has had a lot of awards. It has a lot of the consistency with voice acting. They have done various sequels. They've done All Grown Up. They've done, a lot of other films. They've even got a reboot series that was in 2021. So the longevity is there. That being said, SpongeBob also has had a lot of movies, and I think it's going on 17 seasons now.
Yeah.
And or somewhere in that range. It might have more than that. I could be wrong. But it's had a monumental number of episodes too.
Yeah.
And I just find this show much more enjoyable even as an adult. I don't know why. I think it's just like the goofiness of it. I mean, we have interviewed Tom Kenny too, and did depth charge fish pants and stuff like that. But I don't know. I find it more entertaining and more fun when I look at the two. So I would argue that SpongeBob should be 41 and Rugrats at 42.
It is interesting too. We said a battle of the 90s. One of them came out in 1991, the other one 1999. So we're talking about two polar opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to the 90s. SpongeBob definitely has had more than double or getting close to double the amount of episodes that Rugrats had. And Rugrats was no slouch. Like it had 172 episodes, I think, of the original series. But SpongeBob was, in the 300s somewhere. I think SpongeBob has had probably double the amount of awards over the time as well. This is an example of one of those that I didn't grow up with either one of these shows. And it's another example too, like what Dirt was talking about when he was talking about how he ranked a couple of the films just because he knew of their cultural impact and things like that. Like I cannot stand memes. I'm just going to throw that out there. Like I hate memes with a passion. I don't know why. Like it's just a personal thing. And like SpongeBob has so many of them that's like a thing that like people love to post memes about SpongeBob. And I never know what the heck they're talking about because I've never seen a single episode. So I have
time to watch some SpongeBob.
I have never seen an episode of SpongeBob. I've never been interested in seeing an episode of SpongeBob. However, on my own personal list, I had Rugrats at 29 and I had SpongeBob at 19. Just because even though I know it's not for me, I know I've never seen an episode. I understand it's been on forever and it has a cult following, and not just a cult following, it has a mainstream following that's just like everybody knows SpongeBob and they think everybody else knows it too, which also drives me nuts because I don't, dang it. But I still had it higher. So my vote ultimately, even though if I was going to be forced to watch one, I would rather watch Rugrats. I would vote for SpongeBob to be the winner of this matchup. So that takes a lot of the pressure off of you, Dirt, because we've had 3 people vote for SpongeBob so far. So what are your thoughts on both shows?
Well, 100% honest, I'm not a huge fan of either one. However, I will say, when I first started dating my wife, she would go to her grandparents. Everybody in the family would go to the grandparents' house on Friday night, and they would all have dinner. And it was non-negotiable. Didn't matter what else was going on. You were going to grandparents' house for dinner every Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's grandpa, who was at the time maybe 68, 69, somewhere in there. Nice. He had 2 shows that you could not interrupt him if they were on. I guess 3. Braves baseball was one of those. But the 2 shows that you could not interrupt him if they were on were Beavis and Butthead and SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah.
Those were his 2 shows as a 69-year-old dude. And so for me, like Rugrats, I think was a quality show, but SpongeBob to me feels like it was so big and so huge and so everywhere and kind of still is. It's one of those things like Voltron, like it never really goes away. I think Rugrats, a lot of people, you say something, they would go, oh yeah, I think I kind of remember that. But if you say SpongeBob, oh yeah, SpongeBob. It's like talking about your next door neighbor. Like you remember SpongeBob? Oh yeah, SpongeBob. Everybody knows SpongeBob, you know?
Unless you're talking to me.
No. I mean, there's always one weirdo in town, right?
That's true.
That's right.
So I would definitely say Rugrats should be 42 and SpongeBob would be 41. Let's make it a clean sweep.
All right.
There
So
we
that
go.
means Rugrats has risen from 46 to 42 and SpongeBob has gone from 43 to 41. So both slight movements up the list for Rugrats and SpongeBob. So that's our first tie of the day. We'll have one more coming up later. But before we do that, let's get into our first Adult Swim show of the countdown today.
40.
I thought you liked jazz.
Don't be dense. I started wheeling the blues when the doctor whacked my bottom on the day I was born.
A baby hipster. Very cool. Look at my eyes fade. I'm just watching a bad dream I never wake up from.
All right. That's next up here at number 40. It's also our third show in a row from the 90s here. One of the most internationally influential anime ever made, helping legitimize anime for adult Western audiences. Its fusion of noir, jazz, sci-fi, and existential storytelling created a stylistic benchmark that still resonates today. The show's cinematic presentation elevated perception of what animated storytelling could achieve emotionally and aesthetically. From 1998, we are talking about Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop here at number 40, the anime that aired on Adult Swim. It was 62nd last time around. It comes in at number 40th this time around. This was one that was on my homework list to watch some episodes so I would be well informed about it. I failed at that homework though. The dog ate my homework and I did not get to it. So I am not going to help a whole lot here. Mike, any experience with Cowboy Bebop?
I didn't realize Rocksteady and Bebop went cowboy.
How did I know you were going to say something like that?
I mean, they're all musical styles.
All right. Moving on from Mike, Steve, Cowboy Bebop, number 40 this time, number 62 last time.
I could definitely see that. Just being someone who used to watch Adult Swim and Toonami, it's an entertaining show. It does have some comedic moments. It is very much in the sci-fi realm. Kind of plays in a little bit of a Western, which is kind of cool. I don't know, it's kind of unique in that sense. I don't know, like I wasn't a huge fan of it at the time. However, on subsequent watchings of it, I do find myself more entertained and enjoying it. Just there's a lot of the dynamics between the characters. There's a lot of I love sci-fi and futuristic stuff. It's not too dark to where I won't entertain the rest of it with watching it, and it just kind of plays with kind of the human psyche in a lot of it too. So I mean, I think that it's valued and it's important to be here, and don't confuse it with the Netflix live action stuff, because that's not the same. So, but yeah, I would say that this is definitely warranted, and I think that it's cool that it climbed the ranks here.
Yeah, and my two flip sides of the coin here that I was looking as far as research goes. One of them says that a huge percentage of critics and anime fans would argue that this belongs in the top 25, but others would argue that its short run and brief, lower amount of episodes keeps it from kind of being in that upper echelon. Dirt, I know you said this is around the same time period that you stopped or were no longer watching anime. Did you have any exposure to Cowboy Bebop?
I knew it existed, but no, it was nothing I ever really got into. But it is one of those things that when I did my list, I remember thinking, like kind of debating where it might fit on there, because even though I wasn't a fan of it, I recognized that it had some significance. But honestly, I don't even know, couldn't tell you my list at the moment, but it is something I remember when they were going to do the live action, there were a lot of people that were against the idea of it being live action, kind of like with Powerpuff Girls, just the idea of don't touch it. Like don't reboot it, don't relaunch it, don't make a sequel series, like just let it be what it is and leave it alone. And that was, I think, part of the controversy as well. And then plus it wasn't good. But I think for a lot of people, they really, it wasn't as big of a hit as some of the other shows, but for the people who were fans of the show, they were much bigger fans than some of the other shows that we've seen on the list. So I think it makes sense to be on the list, and I think this is probably a pretty good place for it to come in at. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those similar to you that like didn't have a lot of exposure, but I did put it on my top 100 just out of the reputation and things like that it had. So kind of why I found at least one spot for it. So that kicks off our top 40. And for our next entry, we're going to go back to the world of DC.
39.
Looking for me, the prodigal son returns. It's unlike anything I've seen before. Your flight's been canceled.
All right, next up, our fourth show in a row from the 90s. And our second show from the WB aired specifically on the kids' WB in 1996. We are talking about Superman, the animated series. Yeah. It was number 47 last time around. It's still in our top 50 this time, but it's climbed up to 39. Mike, what do you think of Superman, the animated series, and where it falls?
Love Superman, the animated series. It is the show that holds one of the best Superman, Batman stories in existence, because it has the three-parter in it, World's Finest, which is also, you can also find it separately as the Batman Superman movie. This is the one where Lex and Joker team up, and then Batman and Superman have to team up to stop them. But 3 seasons, 52 episodes, if I remember correctly off the top 54. Of my head. 54. It's too off. But yeah, no. Tim Daly as Superman, Clancy Brown as Lex Luthor, Dana Delaney as Lois Lane. Absolutely love this series. Did a really great job portraying Superman in animation. One of the best jobs ever in animation. They told really great stories, really interesting stories. It's one of the best Superman cartoons out there, folks. Check it out.
It appeared on 24 of the 44 list. Dirt, what do you think about Superman's placement here at number 39?
This came out in the time period that I was busy flunking out of college at this point, so I didn't really watch it when it was on, but it's one that I did go back to. I really enjoyed the look and feel, the way they took, Batman the Animated Series being very dark and noir and, just overall black and dirty and grimy. And they kept the feel and the style of it, but then flipped it. And it was very bright and action and sci-fi. Brainiac. I love the fact that Brainiac was a big part of Superman the Animated Series, because that's a character I always enjoyed more than Lex Luthor. And so it was something I went back to. And when I went back and watched it later, I probably watched it in like 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. And I really enjoyed it. And I kind of felt bad that I didn't watch it when it was on the air. And I think it is a show that, because of again, like with Batman the Animated Series, because of the way they stylized it, it exists kind of in its own time. So someone now could watch it and feel like it's a modern show. Someone 10 years ago could watch it and feel like it was a modern show. Someone 20 years ago could watch it and feel like it's a modern show. I think in 10 years, someone will be able to watch it and feel like it's still a modern show. Those shows just have that evergreen kind of feel to them, because they don't really exist in any specific time period. It just kind of pulls from, different things, and it plays so well that I'm really glad it's on this list, and I'm glad we can see it, this high on this side of the 50 mark. And it's a show that if somebody has not seen it, and we always hear these people whenever there's like a Superman movie coming out, oh, you can't adapt Superman. It's a character that just doesn't work.
Yes, you can.
And this
is proof.
Yeah, this show is the show that proves that you can do Superman if you understand the character.
Before Steve goes, I have to say this.
Your time's already up, Mike.
No. I have to say this because I think I'm probably the only one that's going to get it right. This show did one of the greatest things in Superman history. It got Gilbert Gottfried as the voice of Mr. Mizyez Pidlick.
Mix Pidlick?
No, Mizyez Pidlick. That's how you say his name. That they literally spelt it out in the show.
Whatever you say. All right, Steve.
That's what they say.
I love this show. It's the only time I've actually enjoyed 100% of something Superman. Between the voice acting, the writing, the animation, it took what I loved about Batman the Animated Series and it just propelled it. And then it also built it into something that later would go into Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. So this also was at the time where they kind of restarted Batman the Animated Series with the new adventures of Batman. And I don't know, everything was so on point with this show. Like, it definitely deserves where it's at.
Yeah, I can
and it
see
had
that.
one of the best video game adaptations of all time on the Nintendo 64.
I've not played that one. That makes me intrigued now.
No, it's Superman 64. It's terrible.
Okay.
It's awful.
I've heard of it. All right. So that means up to this point so far, we have had 7 shows from the 1990s. We've had 3 shows from the 2000s, and we've had 2 shows from specifically 1984. So we have had nothing from the last 15 years, and we've had nothing from the pre-1980s. Just giving you guys an update on where we stand so far. Let's go ahead into our next one and see a first from a specific channel for today.
38.
I know what we're doing today.
But this isn't a sitcom, Perry the Platypus. This is real life.
All right, coming up next at number 38, a show that perfected a formula-driven structure through sheer creativity, musical quality, and charm. Its songs became culturally recognizable, and its positivity and inventiveness made it one of Disney Channel's defining animated successes. Mike, you are limited to 3 minutes. You cannot talk any more than 3 minutes. We are timing you
more than 3 minutes.
No, we are timing you. This
I will edit you out.
Hours.
You will not edit me out.
I will do such thing.
This appeared on 6 of the 9 lists. It actually climbed up quite a bit. It was 61 last time around. It climbed 23 spots to 38. This is a long podcast, Mike. You have to keep it brief. Talk about Phineas and Ferb.
Ladies and gentlemen, head on over to the podcast organization without a cool acronym. We currently have something like 90 episodes where my buddy Michael Wilson and I review every episode of Phineas and Ferb. But seriously, no, Phineas and Ferb, absolutely. Last time when we did this 15 years ago, Phineas and Ferb wasn't even it was around. I don't think it was eligible for
it was.
something.
It appeared
Maybe
number
it was.
61st.
Oh, it did. Okay, well, no, this show is great. Absolutely love Phineas and Ferb. It is such a wonderful show, and I'm glad to see it here in the top 50.
It has had a number of awards, 25 plus awards. It's had over 200 episodes. It comes in here at number 38. We had it 61st last time. I actually had it go in the opposite direction. I'm sorry, Mike, but I had it 84th on my list just because I just didn't have enough room for. I had a lot more that I liked better, but I get the appeal and I get that it has a following. So I expected it to be in our top 100 somewhere. I just didn't know where it was going to fall. Steve, what do you think about Phineas and Ferb?
I'm not a huge fan of it, but again, it wasn't geared towards me. That being said, my kids did enjoy it. They like one of them had it in his top 30, and then the other one had it at number 2.
Yeah.
So
Smart kid.
That's Nolan. Yeah, he had it at number 2. But yeah, they've blitzed through it. They enjoy it. They find it funny and entertaining. It does have pretty solid voice acting and a lot of shenanigans. I have watched it periodically with them. It's not it's not one of my favorite shows, but it's the people behind it. You can tell that they love this stuff, and it spawned other series because of it. So I think that it deserves being on the list. I think it deserves moving up the way it has, and it hasn't really gone away. It's even come back. So starting with 2025 after a 10-year hiatus. So I think it's deserved.
So that means dirt for Disney shows so far. We've had Recess, Gummy Bears, then we went quite a bit of time, and then we finally got Kim Possible, Gravity Falls, and Tailspin last episode. This is our first Disney show here with Phineas and Ferb. What are your thoughts on it or the Disney shows that we've included so far?
Well, this was a show that my kids really enjoyed when they were growing up, so I was familiar with it. I never really sat down and watched it, but it was on a lot, so I absorbed enough of it. I enjoyed it enough, but it was never something I really got into myself. But I will say that I think 2 weeks ago, I was with my son at a store called Five Below, discount store, and they had Phineas and Ferb action figures. They weren't Funko Pops, but they were something similar. They were like icons or something. I forget what the brand name was, but it was like a knockoff of Funko Pops. But they had Phineas and Ferb, and they are stylized characters. So when you put them in 3D, they just look wrong. Like the way when you see a Simpsons figure drawn face first,
Yeah.
That giant triangle head with the 2 eyes just doesn't. It's creepy. But we commented like, oh, Phineas and Ferb, like it's still a thing. Like people are still reminiscing about it, talking about it. It's still, part of the cultural zeitgeist. So I don't know that I would personally put it this high on the list overall. I would argue that maybe it would go above the 50 or below the 50, however you say it. But but I do think it belongs in the 100 for sure.
Absolutely. That means that 11 of our 13 reveals so far have been from the 90s or the 2000s. Let's see if that continues next.
37.
Ghostbusters! If it goes bump in the night, we'll make it right.
All right, next up, our first show that was from the Deke production company. Our first show for today that debuted on ABC. And we're going back to the 80s for this one. So one of the strongest examples of a film to animation adaptation, succeeding on its own merits. It expanded this franchise's universe significantly and balanced comedy, horror, and adventure in a way that deeply resonated with kids of the era. Any guesses?
Nope.
Film to animation adaptation, comedy, horror, and adventure.
I thought you were going to be talking about something else, but then you said film to animation.
1986's The Real Ghostbusters. This appeared on the most lists so far that we've had in the entire countdown, 28 of the 44 lists that this appeared on. But that did not help it, actually, because it dropped 10 spots from 27 to 37. So in that respect, like, it was on the most lists so far that we've seen, but it did not get as much love as we got 15 years ago. So from 27 to 37, Dirt, what do you think of the real Ghostbusters?
I think what hurt it was that reboot. What was it, 2018? That's probably what made it drop spots.
2016, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I do remember watching the show, and like I remember specific scenes, and I remember they were fighting some monster and they needed sheets of Mylar, and so they got like giant rolls of Mylar, and I remember like, what the heck is Mylar? And then I look it up and it's like, oh, it's used in special effects all the time, and now they make balloons and like whatever. But I remember it just being one of those shows that everybody I knew watched it. Like everybody, like they knew Ghostbusters the movie, and now you had a Ghostbusters cartoon show, and even though it was so different and so disconnected really from the movie, but everybody was a fan. Everybody had at least one Halloween costume growing up. They had a couple of the figures. Everybody wanted a proton pack, and so as the cartoon series was rolling out, and everybody felt represented by it. I know that's become a much bigger deal in these later eras, but everybody could see somebody on that show that they could identify with, even nerdy guys like me. So
they did have a playset for the HQ, right? For the headquarters?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So. Classic playsets of the 1980s toy line. Mike, any thoughts on Real Ghostbusters?
Whenever talking about the Real Ghostbusters, you have to make sure that you say the real
That's what I said.
Ghostbusters.
Even though they're not the real Ghostbusters, but
not you, OptimusSolo. I'm saying in general, whenever in conversation with people,
nobody remembers Filmation's Ghostbusters. Come on.
Well,
nobody remembers it.
Some people out there do, apparently, because, oh my God, mention just the Ghostbusters to people. When you're talking about cartoons, they pull up a clip about some weird, that was creepy as all hell. Don't do that, Dirt.
Hey, someone's got to keep you humble. That's all I got to say.
That's not humble.
Steve, any thoughts on the Real Ghostbusters?
I mean, not really. I mean, I did watch it. This was one that I did watch kind of religiously on Saturday mornings. Obviously, mostly on rerun or towards the tail end of the series. But no, I mean, the voice actors are always great. The animation was fun. It made Ghostbusters less scary compared to the live action as a kid. So it was very appealing. And it was very shiny. Plus, Slimer was, there for comedy relief, kind of like any other.
Slimer was the best.
Oh, I know. Well, kind of like any other show. I mean, Thundercats had Snarf. Scooby-Doo had Scooby. I mean, you had that character that was always there, kind of causing problems. So I don't know. I found it entertaining, despite the fact that it was kind of creepy at the time too. But yeah, I think it's warranted.
I do think from a film to animation aspect, like, it was one that was able to stand on its own and didn't really need the movies to be successful.
Yep.
So I think that was a unique characteristic of it compared to some of the other stuff that we got, where like you had like the Police Academy and Rambo and like a lot of other stuff that came out in the 80s that like was just trying to use the movie for a success and not actually create like an actual quality product. So I'll give Real Ghostbusters credit for that. It was on for like 147 episodes, which is a lot in the 80s. So. All right, so go ahead.
Well, we all know that voice actors do various roles and whatever else, but what I always found most interesting about the Real Ghostbusters is that Peter Venkman is also Garfield. Lorenzo Music played Garfield and Venkman. Oh boy, two very different characters.
Lorenzo Music and Bill Murray are definitely very close to the same sound. That's for sure.
Very true. Very true.
We've still seen the classic era and the modern era be shut out today. So nothing from either section. We'll have to see if that continues next.
35.
Why didn't you believe me? Happy, happy, joy, joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy. happy joy, joy, happy, happy joy. Happy, happy joy, joy, happy, happy joy, joy. Happy, 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 happy joy, joy, joy.
All right, at our number 36 is our first number one that falls today. So somebody had this show at their number one overall. And we are talking about a show that completely changed the visual and comedic language of television animation in the 90s. Its grotesque close-ups, anarchic humor, and creator-driven style directly influenced an entire generation of animators and paved the way for edgier cartoons. So happy that it still remains in our top 50, even if it has fallen a little bit. It's gone from number 29 to number 36, and I apologize to the person that had this at number 1. 1991 from Nickelodeon, The Ren and Stimpy Show, here at number 36. Steve, I'll let you go first.
I remember watching this with my cousins and my uncle, and my ice cream bar. Oh, I love to eat its creamy center. And I played the video games of it too, which was fun. I don't know. There were so many funny clips on the Ren and Stimpy show. Not the weird one that came out later that was really dark and adult, but the kid one that kind of came out. Buttered Toast Man and Don't Pee on the Electric Fence, and so many other like funny quotable moments from the show. I don't know, it was very much a staple, and it was kind of a gateway too for other people to get into more of the adult humor and programming that later came on with Adult Swim. So I don't have an issue with it. Do I watch it today or seek it out? Not really. Like, it's not one I care to go back and rewatch, which is kind of the case with most of the shows anymore, without a select few. But I think it's warranted, and that it moving closer towards, between 50 and 25, I think, instead of being close to 25, I think it's kind of hitting the right realm at this point.
Yeah, I had it ranked number 27 on my list, so 36 is fine for me. I think it did a couple of reasons for me. Like, we've talked a lot about the argument between historical or genre impact or cultural impact, or something that like really it was a foundation show for other stuff that came. And we've talked about how that often is put at odds with like overall quality or like effectiveness of the actual show, like a show that was really important historically, but maybe, lacks quality or things of that nature. And to me, this one blends both things, right? Like, it's super influential on what comes after it, but then it also was a decently made quality show. So that's kind of why I had it as high as I did at number 27. Dirt, what do you think of the Ren and Stimpy show?
I remember at the time I did not have cable television, so I had to go to someone else's house if I ever wanted to watch anything. And that was one of those shows that you would go spend the night at someone else's house for the weekend, and you would just watch tapes of Ren and Stimpy. And there was nothing ever like it before. It was completely groundbreaking in so many ways. And one of the things that I really remember is just the pacing of it was so methodical. And there were times that it would play with silence, and it would stretch things out to like an absurd length. And especially, you'd have two characters talking, and then the transition to a different scene for some reason would take like 10, 15 seconds instead of like 3 seconds, like you would normally expect in a show, just because it was trying to be so awkward and so different. And there are so many things that now, I think if you try to go back and watch it, a lot of it almost feels annoying in a sense, because it's trying to get on your nerves. And we've seen so many things do that now. And it kind of goes back to that idea of it broke ground on so many things, and it did things first. And sometimes when you go back and you watch the show that did things first, it doesn't necessarily hold up as well as some of the things that came after it that it inspired, but you have to recognize where it came from in our culture and in the process of animation. And it's one of those keystones, I think, in animation, where if it didn't exist, the entire animated landscape would be completely different on this side.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I totally I think it deserves every award. I think it's a fantastic show. I think it's a show that you cannot deny its place in history, But if you take someone now who's like maybe 19, 20 years old and you say, hey, sit down and watch Ren and Stimpy, they're going to be like, what the hell is this show? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, what, like, you know, and it totally plays against all of their sensibilities because that's what it was meant to do.
What you're talking about too, like with the way that it was methodical and drew out stuff, that is like the opposite of what we've trained a couple generations worth of people to just have everything like going 3,000 miles an hour and like switching and then like the stimulus overload. So it would definitely be something that would be hard probably for them to watch because we've trained them in a completely different way with everything else we've put up. I considered just skipping you and moving on to the next one, Mike, but I will let you say a few words about Ren and Stimpy if you choose.
Number 35. Dirt said everything that needed to be said.
Excellent. All right. I like keeping it positive. I love it. So let's move on and see what's next.
36.
Oh boy. Now what will be up? I'm smarter than the average bear.
All right. For our next entry, we've seen production companies such as Nickelodeon, Deke, Disney, the WB, Marvel, Cartoon Network, MTV, Sunbow. There's one production company we have not seen yet today. Anybody have a guess as to what that is?
Rankin Bass.
We have not seen them either, but we also have not seen any shows today, and we haven't since number 66 that were coming from Hanna-Barbera. So our last entry from Hanna-Barbera was number 66, Johnny Quest. Before that, we had Smurfs, Huckleberry Hound, Wacky Races, the Super Friends, and Top Cat. We are going back to that world right now for a show that became one of Hanna-Barbera's defining breakout shows and breakout stars, helped establish the personality-driven comedic style that dominated early television animation. The character's cultural recognizability lasted for decades. I had this one in our top 25. It was not for, didn't make it there, but we did improve on where we had it last time. So last time we had it at number 48. This time we have it at number 35. That's a 13 spot improvement. So I'll take what I can get. It's our first entry today from the classic era. We're talking about 1961, and we're talking about the Yogi Bear Show. So our first classic show, the Yogi Bear Show, coming in here at number 35. Dirt, what do you think of the Yogi Bear Show?
Growing up, this was one of those staples of syndicated TV. Like, I remember Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, weekday afternoons, you could find this show all over the place. And we had a Yogi Bear campground. I'd say probably about an hour and a half from our house. So, I mean, it was definitely a property that I can really remember being embedded in the cultural landscape when I was growing up. Everybody knew Yogi Bear, even people that didn't like cartoons, didn't know cartoons, didn't watch cartoons. They were still familiar with the character because he was, you know, the honeymooners as bears. And it was one of those shows that you just couldn't escape. You couldn't deny. And I do feel like he has kind of fallen away in the last, 20 years. He's not as well known, but I think
Justin Timberlake didn't bring him back into the forefront?
Well, I mean, he brought sexy back, but
he couldn't bring the bear back.
But Yogi Bear, I think it's one of those properties that I think is not done. I think there is still a revival, a reunion, well, whatever you want to call it. But I think that it's a character that's going to return in one form or another at some point in the next.
It appeared on 25 of the 44 lists. That's the second most so far that we've talked about today. Steve, what do you think about the Yogi Bear Show and its placement here at number 35?
I think it's definitely warranted, and it's definitely one of those ones that people just kind of remember. Funny enough, my oldest actually had it in his top 10. So
nice, smart kid.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's a combination of things. I think it's also because they had the live action movie, which exposed the series in general to my kids and to kids of the younger generation, and I think that in doing so, it caused them to seek it out. And what's funny too is the old show even drags in other Hanna-Barbera characters. So I mean, you get kind of this nice melding of the old and I don't know. I mean, my parents grew up with the show, and so therefore I grew up with the show. Therefore, my kids grew up with the show. So it's kind of a domino effect, and the fact that it's climbed.
Hey, boo boo.
It is a boo boo a picnic basket. Yeah. So, anyways, I feel like it's warranted. I feel like it's great to kind of see some of this classic animation getting closer.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing that we've gone from 48 with the Yogi Bear show at least up to 35. Mike, you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Love Yogi.
Any other thoughts?
No, I mean
I was only
show-
saying you couldn't. I was only saying you couldn't talk a lot about Phineas and
Yeah,
Ferb.
yeah.
Well, he has a whole
Whatever.
podcast for that.
That was the only one. You can share thoughts on the rest of these.
Uh-huh. Cut me off at Jim, cut me off at Phineas and Ferb.
Only the ones that I know you have full podcast
blah,
on.
blah, 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 blah.
All right, moving on.
Edit point.
I'll give you an edit point.
Right. Did Yogi Bear open the door at number 35 to more classic shows to come?
34.
How about next we go to one of the most universally recognized animated properties in history. This series represents the absolute peak of slapstick timing, visual storytelling, and theatrical cartoon craftsmanship. Its global reach and longevity are nearly unmatched. Also, the second show that we've revealed so far that has been in my top 10, I had Star Wars The Clone Wars at number 10, and then this is the next one that I had in my top 10. I had this one at number 7. We're going to stick with Hanna-Barbera. We're going to change the time period in the channel a little bit, though. This one debuted on ABC, and it's from 1975. I think this is worthy of being higher. It actually almost stayed the exact same as it did 15 years ago. It was 33 last time. It's 34 this time. I still think it should be higher. Let's reveal the Tom and Jerry show. I think Tom and Jerry is timeless. I think it doesn't matter how old you are, where you're at in your life. Like, you can understand and get into the Tom and Jerry show and see its comedic effectiveness and all of the stuff that it does so well. It's kind of like some other shows that may come up later, I think, in that respect. But I love the Tom and Jerry show. I think it definitely deserves to be in the top 25, but I'm happy that it at least remained in our top 50. Mike, what do you think of the Tom and Jerry show?
Wait a minute. Which year did you say this is from?
1975.
75. So that's not the Chuck Jones shorts, is it?
It's like a compilation show, basically, that used the.
So they compiled them all together. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm so used to watching Tom and Jerry, whether it's the Hanna-Barbera shorts or the Chuck Jones shorts, as the separate things. I'm not used to watching them as the. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Tom and Jerry definitely belongs here. Might say it belongs a little higher. But absolutely love Tom and Jerry. I like the original Hanna-Barbera stuff. There's one or two that I absolutely love from that era. Anything with what's his name? The little mouse, the oh god, what's it? Nibbles or Nibbler or whatever the little mouse is that runs around with them in a couple of those. But the Chuck Jones shorts, there was one haunted mouse where some other magician mouse comes along and basically does this whole thing to Tom to make him think that he's haunted and whatever, and it's just so fun. Yeah, Tom and Jerry, both of them are amazing, and I'm gonna have to seek out the compilation show from 75 to see how they put that together. But absolutely, 34.
I showed my 5-year-old some of the Tom and Jerry show and some of the shorts and stuff like that, and she was into it almost immediately. Like, it didn't matter that it was as far removed as possible it could be from her time period and things of that nature. She found it funny immediately. So I think it works. Dirt, what do you think? 33 last time, 34 this time. Did we get it right with Tom and Jerry?
I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on Mike singing the Nibbles, the mouse.
I don't remember
song.
what his damn name is.
It was Nibbles. It was Nibbles.
Nibbles, Nibbler, Niblet, whatever.
You got it. You had it right. We were just letting you struggle just for fun.
I just want to hear you sing more French. This is one of these shows that my son latched onto when he was young. I think we had some DVDs. I had bought some DVDs of it in like the early 2000s, and so when he came along, he discovered those. And I'll tell you what, he was such a fan that he would play all the video games. They made games on like Game Boy Advance and PlayStation 2 and whatever, and he would play them, and they would be terrible. They would be absolutely awful games, but he would play them nonstop because he loved the property so much. And then when he saw The Simpsons, he saw Itchy and Scratchy. It blew his mind. But I think Tom and Jerry is again one of those like evergreen properties. You have some weird spinoffs like Tom and Jerry Kids or whatever. But I think it's one of those where you can play the oldest cartoons, and kids nowadays, they're still into it. It can still speak to a modern audience, and it probably will long after we're gone. It's probably going to be one of those things in 200 years. There's still kids watching Tom and Jerry cartoons. I think it's one of those shows that just will never go away.
Absolutely love Tom and Jerry Kids. That theme song is amazing.
You want to sing it?
No, not right now.
All right. Any other thoughts on Tom and Jerry, or are we ready for the next one? All right, we started off the top 35 strong with Yogi Bear and Tom and Jerry. We're setting a high bar. Let's see where we go next.
33.
All that work made me hungry. If you have an appetite for fun, took a brilliant mind to figure that gag out. You can get your fill of Garfield. Garfield and Friends.
All right. Let's go back to the 80s now for our number 33 spot here. This show successfully expanded one of the most popular comic strip characters ever into television while maintaining sharp comedic timing and broad family appeal. The show's longevity and syndication helped make this show a permanent fixture in pop culture. Anybody have any guess as to our number 33 entry? 1988 comic strip character. Debuted on CBS. From Film Roman, we're talking about Garfield and Friends.
Oh, so this is Garfield with the farm.
U.S. Acres.
Yes.
Garfield and Friends. Actually, I know I just talked about it with Tom and Jerry, but my daughter and I literally just watched Garfield and Friends, and she loved it and watched like a number of episodes in a row, just thinking it was hilarious. And even got to see Garfield try to send Nermal to Abu Dhabi, so it was fun. So yeah, Garfield and Friends, we had it number 22 last time in our top 25. It has fallen 11 spots to number 33. It actually fell in my listing as well, just because it was harder this time around for me to fit everything in. I had this ranked 49th on my list. But 33 is where it falls here. Dirt, what do you think of Garfield and Friends?
I just never got over the U.S. Acres. Like that whole... It was never part of the comic strip.
I love you. What's wrong with you?
No, it's not. It's not that I have a problem with it. It's just like, how does that fit in with Garfield? Like you've got Garfield, you have this character that is, so well known and so beloved and so universal and still ongoing to this day. And even Garfield minus Garfield is probably one of the best comic strips that you can find nowadays. And then they're just like, yeah, well, it's not good enough. We need to give half the show to a bunch of other characters. And then they never did anything else with those characters. They didn't get their own comic strip. They never branched those characters out into toys and lunchboxes and whatever. It's just like, yeah, Garfield's not good enough. We're going to fill half the show with these random people.
I loved Wade the Duck. Steve, any thoughts on Garfield and Friends?
Oh, what's funny is I had Garfield in like my 50s. Just because I had other shows I was trying to represent a little bit more. And my kids, my oldest had it in his top 15. My youngest had it in his top 5.
Nice.
They love the comic strips. Like they go to the library and pick those out and then laugh at all the jokes and all the things that Garfield's doing that's wrong. They've seen all the movies. They've seen all the animated series. What's funny is the CG stuff that's out now, they do not care for. They like the old stuff. Smart.
Yep.
They're
It's
like,
interesting because the new one is quality. Like Frank Welker does a good job on the new one, and I just haven't watched enough of it to compare the two.
I think it's the animation. I think it's honestly the animation, and then the fact that they had the barnyard stuff included, and they find that entertaining. So I think that it's the combination of things. Not that they have anything against the new one. They're like, it's all right, but they don't. They kind of gravitate towards the older stuff, which I agree, because like I can sit there and I enjoy it because it's, I grew up with it, so it's different for me. I'm a little surprised that it dropped, but that just means that there's got to be some things that I'm not expecting coming up, especially because things have
the unexpected.
Yeah, because things have been shifting really weird in this top 100.
Yeah, every time Kevin says, "Oh, somebody's number one," I've typed my number one every time, and then I've deleted it. I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's not my number one. Okay, good."
Maybe your number one is one of the three that didn't make it.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe it didn't make it, or maybe it just hasn't been revealed yet. Who knows? I don't know.
Fun.
Yep.
Any other thoughts on Garfield Friends that somebody didn't get to share?
It was so interesting and fun, and I think the interesting part about Garfield and Friends is that on the Garfield side, you have this guy with his cat and his dog, and sometimes the other cat that is annoying them, or at least annoying Garfield in normal. And then you have the US Acres, where you can explore all these emotions, whether they be neurotic or not, in Wade and Roy and everybody else, and Orson and all that. It was just so fun.
Wasn't there an egg with feet?
Yes. Sheldon. Yep. Oh God, US Acres is the beginning of the Big Bang Theory. Oh my God. Oh my God.
All right. On that note, let's move on.
32.
Huh. I thought that would be big news. What are you talking about? Oh, have you not heard? It was my understanding that everyone had heard. Heard what? Brian, don't! Oh, well, a bird. Well, a bird.
It's peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter jelly time. Where yet?
Oh, my God. Oh, Stewie, that is so funny. Oh, I did not see that coming.
All right. For our next one. This is actually more episodes. This show had more episodes than any other show we've revealed in our top 100, except for Pokemon, because Pokemon had an absurd amount. But this is number 2 so far as number of episodes go. This show reshaped adult animated comedy in the 2000s. Cutaway humor, rapid fire references, and internet era pacing, it became one of the most culturally quoted and commercially successful animated sitcoms ever, heavily influencing comedy writing online and on television. This appeared on 8 of the 9 lists that we referenced. It's had over 400 episodes. It's our first, we had Fox Kids with The Tick, but it's our first just normal Fox show. This debuted in 1999. It dropped 11 spots. It was 21st last time. It's 32nd this time. We're talking about The Family Guy. So Family Guy here at number 32. It's interesting because Garfield and Friends dropped 11 spots, and that's exactly how many spots The Family Guy dropped. So I had it at 28. It falls here at 32. So I'm perfectly happy with where it has come in. It had over 40 nominations and awards and things of that nature. Dirt, what's your opinions on Family Guy?
I loved it until it got canceled. And then when it came back, it was never the same. And I've not been a fan since.
Gotcha. I think the early seasons are definitely peak and better than the more recent ones for sure. This was one of those shows, I've said it before. I think I said it during our last countdown, but this was one of the ones that in college, like if we all were home and we didn't want to go out, or maybe we had just got home from being out, like this was one that it didn't matter which collection of friends you had. If it was 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of you, you could put on the DVDs to this and you were entertained until you fell asleep. And all of the DVD sets were available at that time. I think like the first 3 or 4 seasons when I was I went to college in the fall of 2000. This came out in 99. So it was like peak time for that. So this was like our go to sleep, put on and laugh until you fell asleep type show. I haven't watched a lot of it in recent years, but I am a big fan of the early stuff. Mike, I know you don't like this one, but any thoughts on Family Guy?
So since the last countdown, I have watched multiple episodes of the show.
Which seasons though?
The early seasons.
Okay, good.
The good season. I started at the beginning. I don't ever, if I'm going to watch a show, I'm not starting in the middle anywhere. I'm starting at the beginning.
Okay. You're going to have a hard time with General Hospital then.
Okay, well, that's, let's see. When did I start watching that? That was in the early 2000s. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Any cartoon anyway. So with Family Guy, I started with season 1. I watched like the first 4 or 5 episodes. I still don't like it because I don't like the humor. I don't like the character. I don't like Peter. Peter's annoying as hell to me.
It's all about Brian and Stewie.
Yeah, I like Brian more than I like Stewie. Stewie, I want to drop kick off the Grand Canyon. I just don't like Stewie. Stewie and Peter, get them out of here. I just don't like them. I like the parodies in Family Guy more than their regular episodes. The Star Wars, one of the Star Wars parodies they did, I liked that. That was funny.
You've come around a little bit. I like it. You're starting to come around.
Yeah, but it's not something I'm going to seek out.
Okay. Eric, what do you think about Family Guy?
You just asked him.
I meant Steve. Sorry, Steve. What did you think about Family Guy?
I definitely liked the early stuff. I liked where they had some of the crossovers and stuff too. Mayor West, and I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'd say I'm more of a fan of Family Guy at this point than I am The Simpsons. It's kind of like around the time that this came out, I kind of flip flopped, and I haven't really watched some of those shows in a long time. There's a lot of funny moments that are in this, and this does play into a lot of the pop culture moments or like early internet, and I mostly enjoy Stewie and Brian. Like that's like the whole draw for me for the show.
Makes sense. I agree with you. And I think the little blurb is definitely accurate with as far as the most culturally quoted and commercially successful. Like it definitely was both of those things, and it spawned a whole lot of stuff. So Family Guy comes in here at number 32. I'm gonna have to ring the bell though, because after that it's time for our other tie of today.
31.
Help! Jane, stop this crazy thing!
All right, we got some decisions to make, and this is not 2 shows from the same channel in the same decade and all the other things like we had with Rugrats and SpongeBob. These are 2 completely different shows. So we're going to have to see what you guys think. We're going to take one show from Hanna-Barbera and another show from Disney and put them up against each other. One of them is from 1991. The other is from 1962. So we're talking about some completely different stuff. One of them became one of animation's defining visions of the future, influencing pop cultural depictions of futuristic family life for generations. It remains one of Hanna-Barbera's most recognizable creations and helped cement animated sitcom structures on television. The other one successfully blended superhero parody, noir aesthetics, and Disney-style adventure into one of the most distinctive Disney afternoon shows of all time. It helped bridge comedic and action-oriented storytelling in children's television. I think both of those give those away. Mike, any thoughts as to what those 2 shows are?
Ladies and gentlemen, now entering the ring, it's the Jetsons versus Darkwing Duck.
It is the Jetsons and Darkwing Duck. They appeared on 27 and 28 of the 44 lists. Last time we had Darkwing Duck at 19, and we had the Jetsons at 45. This time they're going to be back to back. Who wants to start this battle?
I guess I will. As a kid, I loved the Jetsons, hands down. I liked the Flintstones as well, but the Jetsons was always cooler to me, at least until they did the crossover movie. But the Jetsons on its own, I always gravitated to that more because it was futuristic and oh, this is what the future might look like, and oh, this is George and Jane and Elroy. Always wanted to be up, and I think for me, this is why I gravitated to the Jetsons more, is because I was between 6 or 7, 8 or 9 at the time when I was seeing Jetsons in reruns in the mid 80s, late 80s. Elroy was around the same age as I was, whereas the Flintstones and the Rubbles, they each had, well, Bam Bam was a little bit older, but Bam Bam didn't do much. He just bam, bam, bam. That's all he ever did. And Pebbles was just a baby girl. She didn't do much either. So Elroy was around the same age, and Elroy had this inquisitive mind and everything else. And I kind of gravitated towards that. And you had George and Jane and Judy and Elroy and the whole family. And you eventually had Rosie and Mac. And of course, you had Astro and everything else. And just absolutely love the Jetsons. Then you got Darkwing. And Darkwing is essentially a duck in St. Canard who is a Batman impersonator, sort of, an homage to Batman kind of thing. And I loved that because at the time when in 91, when Darkwing debuted, I was actually in the hospital. I had a brain aneurysm and a seizure, and I almost died. So when the Darkwing quote unquote movie or the Terrace Bulba episodes came on, I watched those in the hospital. So I absolutely love Darkwing. So yeah, for me, I would put Jetsons at 31, and I would put Darkwing at 30 because I love Darkwing just a little bit more.
All right, so his vote is for Darkwing Duck. I will go next. If it's no surprise, I'm the one that likes the classics and the historical shows and those things of that nature. My vote's going to be the Jetsons, fairly easy. Darkwing Duck is not even in my top 5 Disney afternoon shows. So I still think it's great. I voted at 39th. I had Jetsons, though, at number 20. So there's just some other Disney afternoon shows I like better. So, and 5 of them that I like better. And the Jetsons is kind of its own thing. Jetsons and Flintstones, I have a lot of respect for both of them. So my vote would be for the Jetsons, but I think they're both worthy of our top 50. I think you could make more of an argument for Jetsons being closer to 25, though, than you can for Darkwing Duck, but that's just me personally. Dirt, where do you sit on this?
Well, I'm with you, actually. I love Darkwing Duck. I remember when it came on, and I remember thinking, Disney can make a show like this. This is crazy because, we'd seen the Disney afternoon shows, but Darkwing Duck being that heavy Batman noir influence just seemed so out of left field and so crazy for Disney to do. But, like you said, looking at the historical significance of some of these shows, you can't deny the Jetsons and their place in history and their generational appeal that I think goes far beyond our lifetimes and what's going to come after us even. So, and when you think about Jetsons having something like moving sidewalks and someone watching the show and being like, hey, I think I can make one of those. And then now you go to the airport, you have moving sidewalks. It's just one of those things where something they saw on the cartoon made them build something in real life. So I would definitely put the Jetsons higher than Darkwing Duck, even though I have a lot of respect and a lot of love for Darkwing Duck.
All right, Steve, what is your opinion on both of them?
I have to side with the Jetsons because
I thought you were going to go Darkwing Duck.
No, I thought about it. Like, honestly, as I was hearing everybody talk about it, I was sitting here going, I hope I'm not next. It's like, I was like trying to decide which one. And I love both of these shows in different ways. However, I feel like the Jetsons has that longevity and that kind of long-lasting. I don't know, like
it's weird. I don't think pop culture. I don't think it's faded as much as Darkwing Duck.
No, I think, well, and Darkwing Duck is, I mean, they've talked about reviving it too with the new DuckTales show. And the thing about the Jetsons is I would love for them to bring the show back, or, you know, have somewhere to watch it. Uh, and there's also the fact that they're talking about, you know, doing a live action movie for the first time of this. And I love sci-fi. I love futuristic stuff. I love, you know, tech. So honestly, the Jetsons kind of resonates more with me. And if it's a choice between the Jetsons and the Flintstones, most of the time I would prefer the Jetsons, just because I like the sci-fi stuff. It's not that I dislike the Flintstones.
No, I get what you're saying.
But I honestly prefer all of the cool little gadgets. And
yeah, it's fun to see for sure. And like, it'd be fun to go back through and see how many of these things have actually become real. It's like Back to the Future, right? Like so many of these things have actually become things.
Yeah. And so like, I feel like for me, this show, it's one that I still enjoy watching today. Whereas like, I feel like Darkwing Duck, it's not that I don't want to watch it. I don't have the inkling to watch it as often. So I would much rather watch the Jetsons over Darkwing Duck. And I think that, you know, the fact that it's been around as long as it has, you know, and people still remember what it is a testament to how good it is.
Yeah. All right. That's interesting then, because then we have 3 in a row with Garfield and Friends, Family Guy, and Darkwing Duck that are dropping almost the exact same amount of spots, 11 or 12 spots. And then we have Jetsons, which I think climbed 14 spots, being our first in our top 30. That means there is only room for 4 more shows today, and 3 of them are going to be from the same time period.
29. Our mutual friend Inspector Gadget will be unable to attend the police security conference this year.
Oh. Let's start off with number 29 here next. An instantly recognizable global property through its memorable premise, gadgets, music, and villain structure. It helped popularize gadget-based comedic adventure animation internationally. I used the word twice, guys. It's from Deke. It's a syndicated show from 1983. We're talking about Inspector Gadget at number 29. Guess what number it was last time? 28.
28.
So dropped 1 spot. So we're consistent. I don't know if we're accurate, but we're consistent here. 29th and 28th. So Dirt, let's start with you. Inspector Gadget, what do you think?
So I was born at 3:30 in the afternoon, which is something my mom, I don't know why, she always drilled in my head. And 3:30 in the afternoon is when Inspector Gadget came on channel 55 here at Springfield. And I loved the show. I absolutely adored Inspector Gadget. They made toys when I was a kid. They had the Inspector Gadget action figure that was like, I don't know, 10 inches tall or something like that. And he had all the little accessories you could put on him. And I played with that all the time. I loved that show. It's a show that I've actually gone back and watched several times. And every time somebody will do like a parody or a reference or something, I get a text or an email from somebody saying, hey, you got to check this out. They made an Inspector Gadget reference. And I have to go check it out. I always wanted the car that would switch and turn from like the station wagon to the police cruiser thing. Like there was just so much about that show that I loved, and so much that, you know, I could tell it was referencing, you know, Get Smart and James Bond and, you know, all these different things. And I've just, it's a property I loved as a kid. It's a property I still love as an adult. It's one of my favorite shows of all time.
I think if you don't at least once a year, if reference the phrase "go gadget" something, then you were not born in the 80s. No,
like when we, well, I would say like when we got our minivan, we got you know, the stow and go seats, so you could, you know, drop them into the floor, and then you had a big cargo room, and so you'd be like, go gadget seats, and you press the button and the seats fold into the floor automatically, and you're like, look how awesome this is. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that sticks with me to this day.
And who didn't love the, you know, the claw, as far as, you know, Mad Cat and the Claw?
I'll get you, Gadget.
Exactly.
Next time, Gadget.
Along with Penny and Brain, you know, it's classic. Mike, what do you think of Inspector Gadget here?
Love Inspector Gadget. Good old Agent 86 in animation form.
Yeah,
that's one way to get smart.
It was interesting though, because we have two different things that happened, right? Like last time around, we had at 32 and at 28 last time, we had Alvin and the Chipmunks and Inspector Gadget. So they were within a couple spots of each other, both from the 80s, etc. Alvin and the Chipmunks dropped all the way down to 77th this time, but Inspector Gadget stayed right where it was. Steve, how do you make heads or tails of that?
I don't know. I love Inspector Gadget. That was one of my favorite shows as a kid. Between Dr. Claw and Mad Cat and Gadget, Brain, Penny. The Gadget Mobile was absolutely awesome as a kid. To the point, I mean, I love this show to the point, like I've introduced it to the kids. I'm like, the theme song is epic. I love doing the voice of Dr. Claw.
Steve, do you know when the most recent reboot or spinoff was? It had a bunch right away, right? Like it had a bunch within the 80s and 90s. I feel like that it had like at least three other series that happened. It's been a while though, I feel like, since we've got something Inspector Gadget from the animated world. We've got the live action movies and things of that nature, which I guess are probably dated now too, but I feel like it's due for something.
The last one was 2015.
Yeah, so the last Inspector Gadget was 2015. They've also had, Gadget Boy. They've had, all these other different shows. But yeah, 2015 was kind of the last.
But we're due for a
major new one, and it was CG, and not that was bad. It just, again, I feel like it was the gateway for kids to kind of be introduced to it, and then re-explore the older stuff.
Yeah. Mike, any last thoughts on Inspector Gadget?
Nope.
I'm losing my mind on who's talking, who hasn't at this point. I don't know. We're like
good.
70. We're like 70 picks in, and I'm starting to lose it.
Since we're still in the 80s, really quick, I wanted to mention about Sunbow since I have the article pulled up here. They somewhere between 98 and 2009, Sunbow closed. It was really 89, or 98, but they got acquired by Sony Wonder and then TV Loonland, and then final closure was 2009. So they lasted longer than I thought.
Yeah, but I think it had been quite some time before they had produced an actual show.
Yeah.
So it's interesting too. Like forgot to mention it, I guess, but like Darkwing Duck was our first series that was in our top 20 last time that has fallen. For our next one, we're going to have our first series that last time was in the top 15.
28.
American hero. G.I. Joe is there.
It is useless to resist.
Right. Coming in here at number 28. It was in our top 15 last time around. We're sticking with the 80s. This show helped define the template for serialized toy-based action cartoons in the 80s. Large ensemble cast, ongoing conflicts, and merchandising synergy fundamentally shaped children's television and franchise marketing. Funny that you mentioned Sunbow, because that's where we're going next. It was 12th last time. It is 28th this time. Joe. We're talking about G.I. Joe, a real American hero. So a drop of 16 spots from our top 15 to number 28. Wow. Steve, we'll let you go first here. What do you think of G.I. Joe dropping that much, but still being in our top 30?
Lick my boot, Baroness. I'm a little surprised. But at the same time, G.I. Joe hasn't had a good series since. It's had sporadic series.
Had one that if it would have been able to last longer, it might have been good.
Yeah, I mean, Real American Hero was great. The Deke series was mediocre. I mostly liked the Battle Armor Cobra Commander. Beyond that, it was kind of crap. We had G.I. Joe Extreme, which was unrelated. And then we had, Sigma 6, and then a couple of other randoms. And then we had the Resolute and Renegades. And then
Renegades was decent.
Yeah, Renegades was decent. Resolute wasn't too bad either. They were shorts though, and then
We got some real bad live action movies.
And then we've got 3 bad live action films, and then so I mean,
And then in
G.I. Joe hasn't.
comics, we had the IDW series, and currently in Skybound Entertainment, they're doing lots of really cool, interesting stuff.
But as far as animation is concerned,
right,
we really haven't had anything great since G.I. Joe the movie.
Yeah.
Well, Resolute was good.
Yeah, but you know
He
what I
said
mean.
great.
Like, I said great. Like that was like the highlight, and then
like a big
from there.
mass appeal show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I'm surprised that it's here, but not at the same time.
Dirt, what do you think of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, being in our top 30, but not in our top 15?
Man, I would put it much higher. I really would. Especially because it was one of those shows where it had such a massive cast, but each character felt so unique, felt so well developed.
Yeah.
And the way they would do interpersonal friendships between some of the different characters. And as much as they would keep pushing new toys and you have to have new characters, you still felt like you knew who these people were. And the Springfield saga stuff, living in a town called Springfield, and then suddenly in this cartoon, it's like, there's Springfield, and you're like, yeah, and then you're like, it's the headquarters of Cobra, and you're like, no!
Yeah.
It was just so much fun. And,
you live in a town of scum and villainy.
Well,
although you do have a higher percentage of living in a town called Springfield than any other town in America. I think it is the most common.
To be fair, as the capital of Illinois, we are full of scum and villainy. But I will say, like, this is one of those shows that I can remember in the, I want to say late 90s or early 2000s, they started repackaging the episodes on VHS cassettes in with the figures. And I can remember that being a big deal. Because this was before DVDs were everywhere, before you could stream anything. And it was hard to get some of those episodes. And then suddenly it's like, oh, well, if you buy, this character, it comes packaged with a, the mass device episode or something like that. And you're like, oh, holy crap, I got to go out and get that because I want to watch those again, get that VHS cassette. And that was a big deal to get a show again, like after it had been gone. Because for, so long, it's like the show went off TV and then you never saw it again unless somebody had taped it, when it was on. And so that was a big deal to be able to watch those animated episodes again. And the movie, of course, blew everyone's mind. But of course, coming after Transformers, they had to make sure that Duke didn't die. And this, hey, Duke's okay, yay! The voice comes from off screen. But the show was huge. I just remember like everybody knew G.I. Joe. Even people that didn't like G.I. Joe knew G.I. Joe. And even years later,
the toys were so big too, and it was not just. Like it was different.
They made it work. Well, they made it work internationally because they changed the name to Action Force, right? They took I think Action Force originally had been a different property, and then they just kind of co-opted it to bring G.I. Joe to an international audience.
I think it was different though too, like with the toys, because like there was other toy franchises, right, and that were popular. I'm not saying that, but like the difference to me is like the average friend of mine in the 80s, like we might have had this many of Transformers and we might have had this many of this other show and this many of this other show, but like the amount of figures you would have for G.I. Joe was always way more than that. Like,
well, because they were cheap. I think that was part of the deal, is that just as a budget, toy, you could say to your parents, I really want some G.I. Joes, and they're like, fine, we'll buy 2 or 3 of them for your birthday, whereas you might get one Transformer, because
right. But you could have, like, if you got a couple friends together, you could have like an all-out battle of like 100 different G.I. Joes, I swear.
Yeah, and you always knew somebody who had either like the aircraft carrier or the headquarter base, or something that was massive. The play sets, which just opened your imagination. But again, I go back to the show. The show was so instrumental in so many things that we see nowadays, and the tie with the show to Marvel Comics and the way Marvel would help write the stories, write the character biographies, same thing they did with Transformers, in order to make them feel more real, to make them feel more like a lived-in universe, help to keep it alive and keep it going. And I think that helped to make it resonate with so many people, that the show, you can go back and watch those episodes, and yeah, it's a little goofy sometimes. They're shooting 10,000 of these quote unquote laser beams at each other, and nobody's actually getting hit, nobody's getting hurt, but whatever. But it's still so much fun. You can go back and watch those episodes from the 80s, and they're still fun to watch. And maybe time capsuling a little bit, but still hold up to this day to go back and watch those, even with as janky as the animation was.
Yeah. Mike, one thing we identified 15 years ago about our list is that it may have been a little superhero heavy, and we might have had a 1980s, especially when it came to boys action cartoons, bias. Is G.I. Joe falling here at number 28 a sign that may not be the case this time around, or what do you think?
No, I mean, I think this list, just quickly scrolling through 28 to 101 or 110, even the ones that just missed the list, I think this list this time around is very much more diverse than what we had 15 years ago. I don't think anyone who will be listening to our episodes, or if we publish the list itself, which I don't think we should do until a couple of years from now, until we get people to actually listen to these episodes. You look at this list, folks, if you listen to our voices on these episodes, these rankings this time around versus 2011, way different. And having G.I. Joe at 28, I think the only thing that shows to me is our 80s bias. But if you listen to OptimusSolo in the beginning of the podcast, when he broke down how many shows per decade in the previous episode that we had, or how many shows per decade that we have overall, 80s is not exactly reigning supreme here.
Yeah, we only had one of them last episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like every section of the countdown, 80s, 2000, 90s, 2000, like, yes, 80s and 90s are our general bias. We do have a lot of 2000s bias as well. Between myself, Steve, and Kevin, I'm not going to speak for Dirt, but he can chime in after I say this. Between the three of us, we are 80s kids. We love stuff from the 80s. We love stuff from the 90s too, but for the most part, we love stuff from the 80s. And we love 80s cartoons and G.I. Joe, Transformers, Masters of the Universe, Cops, whatever it may be. It may or may not show up here. I'm surprised that some of the other superhero stuff hasn't shown up here yet. Maybe it'll show up in the next episode. Who knows? But having G.I. Joe at 28 here, the Real American Hero, I don't think that really says anything like, oh my God, they've front loaded it. They've loaded the top 30 to be all 80s. Shoot, we don't know, because OptimusSolo is the only one that knows. He's the only one that's got the numbers.
All right. And if you were paying attention to the numbers I've given out, I had mentioned that we were going to have 2 number ones fall today, and we've seen one of them with the Ren and Stimpy show. We have not seen the other one, and there's only 2 spots left, folks.
27.
I accept nothing short of excellence from all who work for me.
I think I can handle it.
Very good then, Mr. McGinnis. Welcome to my world.
Now, the Dark Knight will rise again to drive the shadow of evil from the streets of Gotham.
All right. Coming in at number 27, this is where we will see the other number 1 fall for this episode. So one person had this at number 1. I will just read the little blurb and see if you guys can pinpoint it or not. It successfully evolved this character's mythos rather than merely repeating it. Its cyberpunk aesthetic, emotional mentorship dynamic, and futuristic setting made it one of the boldest superhero animation reinventions ever attempted. We're talking about 1999's from the WB Batman Beyond. I'm sorry, Mike. Your number 1 falls right here at number 27. It was 16th last time. It falls all the way down to number 27. So it fell 11 spots, which was the exact same. The Family Guy, Garfield, and Darkwing Duck before the tiebreaker all fell. They all fell 11 spots exactly. We'll start with you, Mike. What do you think of Batman Beyond being right here at number 27?
Okay, so here's the thing, folks. Batman Beyond is in my blood. It is the second franchise only to Transformers. And I say franchise even though it is only one cartoon. But I have everything I can possibly have when it comes to this series, other than art prints and things like that, or clothing or anything like that. I have the complete series Blu-ray set. I literally, other than the ones that are about to release in July via Amazon, I have every single Funko Pop of Batman Beyond. I love this show. 52 episodes plus Return of the Joker, the animated film. I just love this show. What I love about this show is when I found Batman Beyond in 1999, I had already stepped away from the DC animated universe. Yes, I had seen World's Finest and I had seen various episodes of Superman the Animated Series at the time. But after that, from 97 to 98 to 99, when this show began, January 10th of that year, I had no clue. I thought DCAU was done. I thought they were done doing Batman episodes. And I saw the Rebirth two-parter, and I'm like, Old Man Bruce holding a gun, pointing at a criminal? What is going on here? I didn't know what, my 19-year-old self didn't know what in the heck was going on. I literally had to watch every single episode of this show at the time. Fast forward years later, Steve Megatron and I would create Legends of the Dark Knight. We would go through every episode of BTIS and Batman Beyond and just absolutely love this show. It's got great animation. It's got a great soundtrack done by Christopher Carter, Lolita Romanis, and Michael McQuistion, the dynamic music partners. I've interviewed all of them multiple times. Absolutely love it. It's one of the best Batman shows ever.
Dirt, any thoughts on Batman Beyond?
What the hell could I possibly add after that?
Sorry. Like
Thumbs
I said,
up.
Batman Beyond is in my blood.
I can go thumbs up, good show. And then that's all I can really add.
Steve, what do you think of its placement here at number 27?
Thumbs up, good show.
All right. I'll just agree with you guys. I haven't seen it enough. I did rank it in my top 100, but it was down at 89 just because I just don't know enough about it. So
okay, so here's the thing for you, OptimusSolo.
Oh, I already have too much homework.
No. I know you already have too much homework. All I'm asking you to do is watch the first 2 episodes. That's
Okay.
all. And if after that you don't want to watch any more, that's fine. But it hooks you in. It really does.
All right. That means there's only time for one more on this side of the top 25.
26.
Thundercats!
Number 26 is here. I'm going to read the description and it's going to sound vaguely familiar to something I just read a little bit ago. This show became one of the defining action-adventure cartoons of the 1980s, blending fantasy, sci-fi, mythology, and toy-driven storytelling into a highly recognizable franchise. World building, character designs, and tone gave it a larger-than-life identity that remained culturally relevant for decades. It also helped solidify the era's appetite for serialized action animation with continuing lore and iconic heroes and villains. We are staying in the same year that we were with G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. It's still 1985. The Rankin Bass syndicated show Thundercats comes in here at number 26. We've had a major flip here because G.I. Joe was ranked 12th last time, dropped 16 spots to number 28. Thundercats was ranked 31 last time and climbed 5 spots to number 26. So they have flipped their order completely. Mike, what do you think of Thundercats being here at number 26?
Wow.
Did this benefit from the more recent reboot that was fairly well received, even though it also got cut short?
You mean 2011?
What year did I say?
You mean the 20
recent?
I just said recent.
But I'm
15 years ago. For me, that's recent.
I understand that, but I want to clarify. You're talking about the 2011 reboot and not the
whatever the
crappy
hub one, or whatever the not hub, the hub, but yeah, yeah.
Good.
No, not Thundercats Go. Good Lord.
Not Thundercats Roar. Hell, that's why I was trying to clarify.
Yes, no, the other one.
Yeah, no, I don't know, because again, Thundercats from 2011, like that's it's X number of years ago now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It did have the other one though, so maybe the other one also helped it keeps,
yeah, maybe.
Mind. I don't know.
You know, this just celebrated its 40th anniversary last year. Maybe that's why. Maybe because again, in this, at least for me, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been in this whole world of reels and doom scrolling on my phone, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. And as I doom scroll, I will catch a reel of Looney Tunes or Thundercats or Batman Beyond or G.I. Joe or whatever. And it's like, oh, hey, yeah, what year is this? This is 2025. Oh, yeah, Thundercats, 40th anniversary. Yay. Kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't know how Thundercats got to 26. No clue.
I mean, I'm a little shocked that just me personally, I had Thundercats I did rank it. I ranked at 73rd. I had G.I. Joe at 38, which was trying to separate some of my personal bias to some, historical and cultural impacts and things of that nature. But I had, that's like a 35 spot difference. And I had G.I. Joe beating out Thundercats by 35 spots. And I'm shocked that even though it's only 2 spots difference, I'm kind of shocked that Thundercats has beaten it. Dirt, what do you think of the two?
Actually, I do kind of have a theory about this because
I
recently bought the DVD box set for Thundercats. I think just right around Christmas, I ended up buying it. And I was talking to somebody about Thundercats, and this is someone that was about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years younger than me. And they had never really seen the show. They didn't really know anything about it. They just kind of knew that it was a property that had existed, but, never really were exposed to it, never watched it or anything. And the way they were talking about it, it was almost like this hidden gem from the 80s that they didn't really know about it, and they were now rediscovering it. And so I wonder if it's one of those things where, as much as I love G.I. Joe and I talk about G.I. Joe being ubiquitous and everywhere, I wonder if it kind of played itself out in that sense, where everybody, like, they know G.I. Joe, they know what it's about, they know what it, everything. Or even if they don't, they feel like they do. Whereas like Thundercats and Silverhawks, and there was, what was the other one? There's a third one that he mentioned.
Bravestar?
Tigerhawks
was the same.
No, but Bravestar was the other one, because Bravestar was the other series. Yeah, that's that. That those are shows that they disappeared, and for a long time they didn't have revivals. They didn't have collector's series figures. They didn't have, and then in the last 5 years or whatever, they've started to kind of come back, and people are talking about them again. And it's like this hidden gem from the 80s that everybody kind of forgot about, and now they're rediscovering it, and it's become one of those properties where people can go, oh, I really like this old show, and they can turn to their friend and say, hey, you need to watch this old show that I discovered from back in the 80s. And it's I think with a lot of people, Silverhawks and Thundercats and Bravestar fall into that realm where they were out of the cultural zeitgeist for a long time, and now they've come back in. And people are like, wow, what this is, instead of something that my parents pushed on me or something that guy I work with always talked about, here's something that I've discovered from the 80s. That's this great old show. And I think also because those shows all benefited from the anime influence of the time, that when people look at them, they go, oh, look, this is anime. It's like, well, no, it's not, but it kind of is from, all the design cues that they took for it. So that's something that actually has been going through my mind the last few months as I've been rewatching the show, is that when I talk to certain people about it, people who are, I'd say maybe 10, 15 years younger than me, puts them about 35, 40 years old. They're in the era where they didn't grow up with it. They kind of knew it existed, but they never saw it. It was never in reruns. They never really had any exposure to it, but now they can go back and look at it, and it feels like they've discovered something.
That makes sense. Which one would you rank personally higher?
Of those three?
Of G.I. Joe and Thundercats.
Oh, of G.I. Joe. I would put G.I. Joe higher just because I just feel like it was more culturally significant.
Yeah, I agree with that. Steve, what do you think of how we're ending today?
I don't know. I think Thundercats should have been higher up, like on the other side of the Jetsons. Like I get it, like the appeal, and I enjoyed the show for what it was, but I feel like Batman Beyond, G.I. Joe, Inspector Gadget, and the Jetsons kind of should have been above this one.
There was a lot of unexpected love I saw from the Thundercats in the voting ballots. That's for sure. So I'm not saying it's necessarily not warranted. It was just surprising to me, I guess. As far as that goes, I mean, it's not that far off from where it was last time. It went from 31 to 26. It's more about how much Batman Beyond was 16, G.I. Joe was 12, Darkwing was 19. Yeah, Family Guy was 21, Garfield was 22. So we've just seen a lot of the top 25 drop out of the top 25 this time around, which is interesting. So I'm going to go through a little bit of what we've revealed today and then get your guys' thoughts overall. So from the last 15 years, we saw 0 entries today. So nothing from the last 15 years made it into this section of the countdown. From the 2000s, we got 4 shows with Archer, Samurai Jack, Teen Titans, and Phineas and Ferb. We got quite a few shows from the 90s. I believe 11 is the count that I had for the 90s. We had not a lot at the beginning, but we did end up with 7 shows from the 80s. Voltron, Muppet Babies, Ghostbusters, Garfield, Inspector Gadget, G.I. Joe, and Thundercats. And we only had 3 from the classic era, Yogi Bear, Tom and Jerry, and the Jetsons. So, Dirt, what's your overall thought on what was revealed today and kind of where we sit with 25 spots left?
Well, Family Guy could have been at 101. I would have been totally fine. I will say
same.
I give a lot of credit though for like Daria being on here. That's a show that I think critically is very underrated. And that is a great show for people to go back and rediscover. And Phineas and Ferb, I think, is one of those shows that will fall into the same group with Yogi Bear and Huckleberry Hound and all of those other like classic, what we think of classic kids, Bullwinkle and Rocky and all of that kind of stuff, where it's going to be one of those shows that everyone is going to watch as they're growing up from now on, like just from now to the end of time. Every kid is going to grow up. They're going to watch some Bugs Bunny. They're going to watch some Phineas and Ferb. They're going to watch some Mickey Mouse, some Donald Duck, some Yogi Bear. Like it's just going to enter that pantheon, and it may not be as critically acclaimed. We may not put it on the same pedestal as some of the other shows for having great animation or more memorable characters or a great style. Like Thundercats had that anime influence, or I think Voltron was robbed. It should have been number 1, but I think we've seen some really good shows that once people look at this list, they go, you know what? I need to go back and check that out. Like maybe I never saw that. Maybe I only caught 1 or 2 episodes, but I should go back and rewatch that. And we live now in the era of everything available all the time. So there's no excuse. So if there's a show on here that you've heard people talk about, but you've never seen, well, now it's high enough on the list. You should go check it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we did have the 5 shows that dropped out of the top 25 from last time. And we did have the following shows that made it into the top 50 that were not last time. So that would include Archer, The Tick, Daria, Powerpuff Girls, Voltron, Teen Titans, Cowboy Bebop, and Phineas and Ferb. Those were the non-top 50 shows last time that are now top 50. Steve, what do you think of what we've revealed?
I think I don't know where we're going to go from here, but it's kind of surprising the stuff that's moved around the way it has.
Yeah, that is for sure. Just to give you guys also an update here on some of the other things we've been keeping track of. We saw 3 superhero shows today. Only 2 of the adult primetime comedy shows, only 2 anime. The syndicated made a boom here. We had 5 shows that were just originally straight to syndication. We had 3 shows from ABC, 3 shows from Nickelodeon, 3 shows from Cartoon Network. And then from production companies, we had 3 from Hanna-Barbera, 3 from Nickelodeon, and 3 from Warner Brothers. Mike, what do you think of what we've revealed? And are you scared of what's to come?
No, I'm more curious than anything else. Now that my number 1 has been revealed at 27, I'm good.
It's not one of the ones that didn't make it. So that's
yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, I don't have to, be like stupid Bush and demand a recount.
There we go.
So I'm good now, but no, it's all been very interesting this time around with everything that we've done to this point, because like we've already said in this episode and the previous episodes, this whole process, we didn't do nomination episodes last time. We just did willy-nilly, everybody go give us your 100 titles and send us the list. So this time around, we've done this whole, and we blame Dirt for this. This is all his fault.
That's because
last time he told us to do it a different way. Well, we're doing it a different way. And we've done this whole process, and now we're coming to the end of the process, and we're finding out exactly what we've gotten ourselves into in the top 25. Well, it's like, but yeah, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's like Forrest always says, podcasting is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
I did ask ChatGPT about the 25 shows that we revealed today. And I asked a specific question on if they were all for sure top 100 worthy. And ChatGPT said, yes, every single one of these can be reasonably defended as top 100 worthy. Some are absolutely mandatory. Some are important historically. Some are massively influential culturally. Some are artistically elite, but none of them feel outright illegitimate. So it agrees with our 25 selections being a part of this top 100. So I don't know. I guess we got the ChatGPT seal of approval, Mike.
Except Family Guy. That can go at 101.
No. All right. That's all I got for you guys. So I'm going to leave everything else close to the vest and hidden until next time.
All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for us. Dirt, you got any final thoughts you want to say before I run through the closing? Or Steve, anything you want to say? Dirt, you can go first.
Well, I'm just scared about what you said at the beginning of the episode. You said you still had plans for me somewhere else for something else. And now
you never know.
Now I'm just worried. I got to get back in the bunker and lock the door, hide away for another 15 years.
just don't lose the audio equipment. You can have the audio equipment in the bunker.
Dang it.
Steve, any final thoughts?
Nothing here.
All right. All right, Toonsters, as always, we want to thank you for listening to the GeekCast Radio Top 100 Animated Series 15th Anniversary 2026 edition. There's several ways to get in contact with us to leave feedback for the show. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on this post. If you want to leave your feedback for the 50 to 26 episode of the countdown, leave it on this episode, please. You can also buy our merch at shop.geekcastradio.com. You can send us email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can listen to us on all the podcatching clients, any of the ones you choose to use. Follow us on all the social medias. We are at GeekCast Radio. I am at TFG and Mike. Steve, what is any of the socials you want to give out?
At SCP-21.
And Kev, what's yours?
At OptimusSolo.
Dirt, you got any social media stuff you want to give out?
No, I don't exist online. This is a chat bot.
Perfect answer.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCast Radio Network. You can also check out Tooncast all tunes all the time over there as well. Next time, the top 25, the GCRN Top 100 Animated Series 25 to number 1. For now, I am TFG and Mike with
Steve Megatron.
OptimusSolo.
I'm here too, I guess.
Thank you for listening. Until next time. Oh yeah, and unleash the top 100 tune in you. Yeah.
You've been counting down with us. The list, the laughs, the fire. The top 100 made a series countdown. A ride of fan desire. From number 1 down to 99. Every pic's a spark in animation's timeline. Some debates got heated, some picks surprise. Voices clash, but passion never dies. Every fan has a story to defend, and together we made it from start to end. Transformers rolling out with might. Beast Wars roaring through the fight. Batman shadows guard the night. Dragon Ball Z powering into flight. Looney Tunes laughter that never fades. Simpsons shaping culture through the decades. Family Guy twisting the comedy scene. Cartoon Network dreams on every screen. Marvel heroes soaring bold and free. DC legends etched in history. Hanna-Barbera paved the way. Warner Brothers magic still here today. Turtles in the shadows, cowabunga calls. Heroes in a half shell breaking the walls. X-Men charging with mutant pride. Scooby-Doo mysteries side by side. Futurama's future adventures untold. G.I. Joe battles brave and bold. Anime worlds with fire and light. From Sailor Moon's heart to Gundam's fight. Top 100 written in a series countdown. Legends stand and fans unite. From the classics to the brand new themes, we share the best through every fight. Thanks for tuning in, for sharing the dream, for building this ultimate geek scene. The countdown ends, but the spirit stays strong. Animation forever, the story goes on. The story goes on.
This has been the GeekCast Radio Network.
Oh yeah! Top 100.